Call the meeting to order. Everyone can rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
Sure, I will do that. Wondergen.
Here.
Steffes.
Here.
Gardine.
Here.
Dahan.
Here.
Van Eck.
Here.
Highboard.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Please note, as a courtesy to the members of the audience and the Board of Education, please silence your cell phone. Public will only be able to speak during public comment if signed up. And I've got one form, Mr. Merkel or John, or whoever. All set. Thank you. All right. Item number 1, approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Support.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion, or agenda passes. All right, so second, overview of the process as we sit here and go through the process of selecting a new board member.
Sure, you do have a piece of paper in front of you for the suggested process that I have here for you. So we are interviewing 6 candidates tonight. The candidates have been asked to arrive 10 minutes early. A district person, Dr. Merkel, will take them to a space until called to enter this room. Candidates have been told they are not to be here before their interview to really talk to anybody, come in, sit, and then afterwards, after they interview, they're more than welcome to stay if they wish. And then we will interview the candidates. After the candidates have been interviewed, and they will have a time, and I'll be your timekeeper for you. So if we start getting to that time where we need to move on for the sake of keeping on schedule, I will just say last question, and then we can ask that last question, go from there. Reason why you do that, obviously, some people might have 2-sentence answers, some people might have a novel for you. It just depends on that and as we move through, okay? And then at the conclusion of the interviews, each board member will select a top choice to begin the dialogue. Once top choices are selected by each board member, the board will determine who a roll call vote should be taken for. So I can give you, I mean, if you had, say, 3 people, 1 person, and 2 people, another person, and 1 person picks another, then I would suggest we start with whoever had the 3, have discussion, take a roll call vote on that person. If that person gets the 4 votes that are required from you guys, then we have our person. If they do not, then we move on to the next person, do the same process, and go from there, okay? If for some reason you don't come to a 4-vote majority consensus of this current board, then there are a couple things we could do. One I would suggest is to use a tiebreaker. Tiebreaker, I would suggest, I have a wrapped pack of cards here. We would simply open up this pack of cards. The top 2 candidates that we have, these cards would be pulled out of here, and if they are here, then we'll have them pull a card out of here. If they're not from here, I would suggest the red-haired lady over there named Heather Roskowski, she could draw one for one person and then one for another and do that. But if we're going to do this, I suggest that you agree to it before we ever get to this point, that you agree we'll use this tiebreaker to break a tie between the top 2 candidates. So that's a suggestion we could do. I would say if your top candidates And we don't know how those votes will come out, how your top choice candidates come out. But if you end up with more than two, like I said, I would start with who has the most votes, see if you can get a 4-vote consensus. If not, move to the next person. And the next person, if you have nobody, a possibility that you could do is talk about, is there anybody that we interviewed tonight that this board could get behind as their person? So that's another piece. As you know, we have 30 days from the time of the Barb Palmer's resignation. That date is next Wednesday, that deadline. When that deadline passes, if we haven't made a decision as a board, then this goes to the ISD, and the ISD can decide how they want to choose somebody. You have questions that are here. There are 10 questions. The first 6, I believe, are pretty essential to the role of a board member. I would suggest each of you take a question, because it's probably about 6 questions that will be able to be asked. And like I said, if somebody's very short in their answers, you may be able to ask more because you do have more there. If they're long, you might not totally get to all 6. So, that's a piece we'll want to try to manage throughout the process for each person.
I'll take 10.
Okay.
But
Again, I would suggest, I would
Six
suggest the
first.
first 6,
First
but,
six,
but you're not helped.
The first
with that.
6 questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, to take one of the first
Oh,
6.
okay.
But
That's fine.
if you choose a different one,
start-
I don't have a problem. They're all good questions.
Start with Sally,
That's fine.
and we'll go this way, and I'll
Sounds
take
Keep it
number
easy.
5.
Keep
Does
it
that
easy.
work?
That works for
Sounds
me.
good.
Start there and move this way. Okay. Gotcha.
So you got 2.
Tiebreaker. Yes, no?
Yes.
I need to know that.
This, I'm going to tell you, this would be so embarrassing if it goes. Media will get a hold of it. This district will look like a joke, that we do not have our act together. And the drawing of the cards, to me, is as fair as it's going to get. So that's my perspective. Why air our dirty laundry? It's an embarrassment to Roger, and it's an embarrassment to this district. That's my take.
I disagree. I think that it's an important enough decision that we should be able to work together, and we should be able to find a person who will come together for this board. I think we have a lot of options in front of us, and if we can't figure that out, then that might be something worth looking into as to why that would be an embarrassment. So I don't find that this decision based on a draw of a card is a good option. That's my opinion.
I would agree with that. I
Your
think
opinion?
that if we have to go to the ISD, as much as we don't want to do that, then you have objective minds that could look at our candidates that we have, and then make an objective decision if need be. I feel like we can come to a decision on a person here tonight. I believe we can if we go into this objectively and look at the credentials of each person and then see how they interview with us here tonight. And I think we have that ability. I have more faith in that than I do in a deck of cards.
I agree with the deck of cards. That is what has happened in the past. Past precedent has been set with that as well. So I think that's as fair as you're going to get.
I'm okay with the cards.
And I'm not a fan of the cards. I think I agree it's an important decision that we need to come together or make sure that it's done objectively.
I'm hearing your split. Sounds like 3 and 3, so, yeah, I mean, if you vote on it, which you could, it won't pass, because I'm hearing you say you don't have 4. The other suggestion that, like I said, that you could do is just, if you don't get a 4-person consensus from this board on a candidate, you move to the next one and try to get to that point, and go from there if you're not going to do the tiebreaker. So,
And can you elaborate a little bit, Roger, about what happens, what possibly can happen at the ISD level if we do have to bring it to that level?
it's totally up to them.
Right?
Yep, totally up to them. They can do it however they want. I don't know how they would do it. I mean, the first thing I would do is contact Ron Gorman, the superintendent at the ISD, to let him know the situation. And between him and their board, they'd have to figure out how that is. I can't really speak to that. It's totally up to them how they do it. Okay. Do you have any other questions about the process?
From my perspective, let's just go with the punches. At the end of the interviews, begin the process. Make it as expedient as possible.
Okay. All right. Then I guess we're ready. You're going to start with question
I
number
will.
1, correct?
You bet.
Okay, so I guess we're ready for our first person.
So
Thanks.
is there going to be like a 20-minute time limit for questions, or is it?
We want to keep on time. Right now we have 20 minutes. Hopefully we get through the 6 questions, and then
All right.
we have time actually for even an additional 1 or 2 if we do.
I just didn't know if somebody had to keep time or not, or if we're not going to be that precise.
I'm going to watch to make
All right.
sure we stay on time, because I don't want us to get way behind. I knew we'd start behind to begin with because I had to review the process. Okay. So first candidate is Beth Leate.
Roger, were you going to address communication to other candidates outside of this room?
I did mention that.
Okay,
earlier.
good, thanks.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Beth.
Hi, Beth.
Hello.
Brought my own water, but thank you for all that.
Beth, thanks for being here tonight. We appreciate you going through this process with us, and we just have some questions that we'd like to ask you in this interview, and we'll try to go around and be as brief as we can with our words so that you have more time to answer with yours, all right?
Good, thank you.
Okay, so the first question that we have is, tell us about you and why you are interested in serving on the school board.
Thank you. Beth Leate, now an 8-year resident of the Grandville area. We moved from Chicago. Before that, I grew up in Indiana. My dad worked at Taylor University, which is a Christian college. I went to that university. I earned a BA in communications there. Went on to a Christian graduate school where I received a master's degree in film and communication studies. So again, I've worked in the corporate video field for about a little over 25 years, which I really enjoy doing, using my communication skills. I have a Grandville graduate and a current Grandville senior. So why am I interested in serving? In short, I have a passion for service and a compassion for people, both driven by my lifelong Christian faith.
Thank you.
All right, next question. What do you see as the role of a school board member?
You know, I looked over that mission statement once again, improving lives by producing successful lifelong learners. So as the board, I'm sure I probably should have looked at the job description actually, but I feel like it is to fulfill that mission, to help our schools run effectively and efficiently, and to advocate for any and all things that help our students to succeed, and to make sure that we represent really all families as we try to get that mission statement accomplished.
Good, thank you. At times, you may be caught between legitimately opposing viewpoints. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold. How will you handle this situation?
as I've attended several meetings, board meetings before, I've seen this play out. And I understand in most cases, we need to uphold a certain policy or law, and otherwise we'll lose our funding. And obviously that's crucial to supporting all of our students. That being said, it seems like there's a latitude in sometimes of how we apply that in our own school district while keeping to the law or the policy, but also making sure it fits for our specific school community.
Beth, working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skill in communication and decision-making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team?
I think that's where some of my professional skills and background. I was, I guess now's the time to tout your own stuff, but I was on both the IABC, which is the International Association of Business Communicators board. I was the president of that in Chicago for a couple of years. We got recognition for winning. We rose the income, we balanced the budget. I led a team of fellow communications professionals, and also the Network of Executive Women, where also I was on the executive board with a lot of high-powered, amazing women and a few men, and we were recognized as Chapter of the Year nationally. And I hopefully played a hand in that. So knowing how to listen, to see both sides of the coin, knowing that I don't know everything, that I have something to learn from everyone that I work with on a team, on a committee, on a board. Learning from the expertise of others where I'm weak and maybe I'm strong where somebody else is weak. So. Is that sufficiently?
That is, I have so many notes. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Our district focus areas are, there's two of them, ensuring each student reaches his or her full potential, academic potential, and then every student who comes through our doors feels safe, has a sense of belonging, and has the support systems in place to reach their full potential. So the question is, based on that, what does every student reaching their full academic potential mean to you? So it's a two-part question. That's the first part. What does that mean?
Okay, and that's second.
Every student reaching their full academic potential.
Right. I think wherever they're at, obviously, we need to make sure that they make the most of what they've been given. And sometimes it's a situation where they have the academics, but perhaps it's a family issue or a language issue or something else that is kind of hampering their efforts to be all that they can be. So that's where hopefully the various different programs in our schools, whether that's an academic program, whether that's ESL programs, other ways that we can support kids that might have different disadvantages just from their own learning capabilities or from outside influences that affect their ability to learn.
And then how does a student know? I mean, how would they know that he or she belongs?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I think, making sure that all of our teachers and students and from this board, I don't say on down, but throughout our school district, making sure that they understand that they are part of this community. They may look different, they may speak different, they may believe different, but they are all part of this family, this organization, this school district, and we are here to support them and to make sure that they achieve and make it to their full potential.
Beth, why should you be the person selected to fill this vacant board position?
Sure. I look at some of the other candidates, some I know better than others, and I know that some have some education background that I don't have. I think I'm a good candidate. It's up to you guys to decide whether I'm the best candidate for this position or not. But I think it's that combination of passion and compassion and empathy, my own educational background, and an understanding and a commitment to that, the mission statement of Grandville Public Schools.
Okay. Should we keep going since we have a little more time? Great.
Have a little bit more time.
So Beth, what are the successes within our school district, and what do you see as some of the challenges?
Well, of course, I have to mention the band program, so. Proud band mom, 3-year band camp, parent volunteer. I think the successes are such a wide variety of sports and programs that get kids involved. But also the successes are, the different clubs and the Be Nice program that we're involved in. And, I love reading the newsletter, the bird watching club. Really? Okay, cool, And those other things outside. And being so proud that our seniors in their efforts raised over $60,000. And understanding in this day and age, especially, how far those dollars will go to impact people. And I hope they are not only proud of the fun that they had, but the impact that will have. So, again, raising those whole person students to be in this kind of hard world. So I think that's a success. So, I'm sorry, there was a part B to that, Sally?
No.
Okay.
Well, yes, there was, sorry. What do you see as the challenges?
I see the divisiveness, which makes me sad. And I think that's, I had just written a couple notes on that of saying, I want every kid to be respected by another kid, no matter what their background is, sexual orientation, their income level, their race, their gender. And I want that to come down from this board down, with our teachers, with our faculty, with our program people, with our students, so that we're all on one page of supporting this entire community. So if we can, it's an issue, I think, in every school, but I'd love it to be less of an issue here.
Thank you.
More? Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on it. Long question.
Yeah, no. I'm thinking of, and it can be one that you guys dealt with, right? Okay. I don't want to say book banning, but the book issue. And I think that's one where you had some people over here, some people over here, and everybody had different, I want this, but that you guys went through and looked at, I would want to do my due diligence and read the books that were there, but you put together a committee. You listened to different viewpoints. You had different people on that committee. And then a decision was made that both respected the people who wanted limits in the availability of some materials, as well as not banning or getting rid of those books. So I think that was a good one to say, we listened to all sides, we thought about it, we did our deep dive of looking into those books, and made a decision together. So I thought that was cool. So.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Beth.
your time.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.
Like that, I'll be in touch. Okay, our next one is Jeff Johnston and via Zoom. So Walt has us set up. I'll ask the questions from there.
Sure.
You'll see him up here and you'll get his responses, okay? Hi, Jeff.
Hello, Roger.
Okay, we're gonna get started. Are you ready?
All right, let's go.
All right, I will ask the questions. Our board is here taking notes and they can see you on our big screen. So, first question, Jeff. Tell us about you and why you are interested in serving on the school board.
Sure thing. I am a father of four, 3 Grandville alumni and 1 Grandville senior. And so, I've been involved with this district for 12 years, watching my kids grow up in it and seeing them get involved and find success. And it's an organization that I would be proud to be part of and to share in that success and to help, give back for what I've received. A little bit more about myself. My wife and I have been married 34 years. I'm from Flint originally, but we're lifelong Michiganders, and we've been in West Michigan for 12 years. I work in communications for the state of Michigan, and I have had a 35-year career in media and communications, including teaching at Central Michigan University and covering school districts. And I just think public service and contributing to the public good is something that I am eager to be a part of.
Okay. Question 2, what do you see as the role of a school board member?
Most importantly is, we are the public's representatives. And, the public is not monolithic. It's a diverse group of people in this community with many viewpoints. But I think we have a shared sense in our community that we want our public school district to succeed and for our students to thrive. So, that's how I would uphold my responsibility to the public. I also would measure my success and my responsibilities against the values and beliefs and mission that our district has agreed to represent us in the are. And I think I want to make our constituents proud. So that's our students, our faculty and staff, and administration, and the community as a whole. That means taking this job seriously in all its details, and all the fine details of running a large organization. It's not about being on a soapbox or making speeches or anything like that. There's a lot of nuts and bolts, hard work to be done. That's what I think is important. And that's, I think it's important to the community and to the district, right down to our students, that we have steady and dependable servant leadership on the board. People who can cut through confusion, misinformation, even the divisions in our community and our society.
Question 3. At times you may be caught between legitimately opposing viewpoints. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold. How will you handle this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say when it comes to upholding the law, it's pretty clear. That's what we do as good citizens. We uphold the law. So that would be my intention, my approach is to respect the law and carry it out. I think we have a fiscal responsibility that comes along with that, not expose the district to unnecessary risk or uncertain risk. The only other thing I would say about that topic is that, whatever I do on this board, I'm going to measure against the the values and beliefs, as I mentioned before, that we've agreed to uphold. I would certainly hope that there would be nothing that would come our way in the form of law or dictates that would require us to compromise those values. If that were to happen, then that would be a tough situation. I think that would require a lot of hard thinking from everyone on this board about how we best support our students and our educational mission.
Okay. Question 4. Working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skills in communication and decision-making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team?
Well, I'm not coming to this position because I have all the answers or know all the ins and outs of running the Grandville School District. And so it's a shared responsibility. We go into that, completely understand that. I expect I'm going to learn from every single member of this board. And that's my intention. I want to get to know folks and learn from them. I've been a team player all my career, all my life, and that's where I find most satisfaction. It's not being a lone wolf, but being part of a successful team. I think I have a lot of skills and both in terms of knowledge and interpersonal skills that I bring to the table, and I look forward to a cooperative, collaborative working environment.
Question 5. Our district focus areas are A, ensuring each student reaches his or her full academic potential, and B, every student who comes through our doors feels safe, has a sense of belonging, and has the support systems in place to reach their full potential. What does every student reaching their full academic potential mean to you?
That's a great question, a great thing for people to reflect on. I think it touches on every area, every aspect of what we do. The kinds of academic programs and extracurricular programs we offer. At a basic level, I think what we're talking about is we want every person to become their best self. We want to respect who they are, who they're becoming, and how they're maturing and learning as they go, and being there as a support to help them stand on their own and make it in a challenging, fast-moving world. So it's making sure we keep the district on a healthy, stable, positive track, so we can continue to offer kind of educational experience that has put Grandville in the top 5% of school districts in the United States.
And the second part of that question, dealing with the second focus area, how does a student know that he or she belongs?
That's I want to think about that for a second. Because I think this is one of the most important questions facing young people today. I think that there's a real crisis of mental health among young people. I think there's a sense of alienation, a sense of, of loneliness, frankly. And it's not just children, it's a lot of adults too. But I think it puts a special burden on the school district when you're dealing with young minds and young personalities and developing people to make sure that we're very proactive about the ways that people of all different backgrounds can feel included. Inclusion has become a buzzword, but all it really means is we're making room for everyone at the table, and I think we're all better if we have everyone at the table. So it's having a breadth of student organizations and clubs and activities that appeal to lots of different kinds of personalities and people. Having staff and faculty that are empathetic and compassionate, living out those district values again to make sure that that they can be there and support. I mean, I've seen it with my own kids where teachers do make a difference. Probably everyone in this room has had a teacher who has made a difference in their lives. And that's the kind of district that I think Grandville is and needs to continue to be.
Jeff, why should you be the person selected to fill this vacant board position?
Well, that's what I'm trying to answer for you tonight by giving you some insight into who I am. But I think another way to put that is I'm not going to pretend to be someone else so that I can just simply try to get this seat by any means. I mean, I'm presenting you my honest self here and telling you what I believe. And I believe that these are widely held values and beliefs on our board and in our community. And so, that's why I hope that the board members voting tonight will see who I am and agree that I would be an asset to this board and a valued colleague for them.
What are the successes within our school district, and also what are the challenges?
Again, there are many things I expect to learn as I get deeper involved in the school system. We have 16 different facilities. I have not visited every one of them, but I expect that I would visit most or all of them as board member. I get to know the people who are, working, doing the hands-on work that really makes for these successes. So when it comes to, I'm sorry, I'm losing track of your original question, so
Sure.
we can go back.
Okay, sure. So what are the successes within our school district, and what are the challenges?
So, anyhow, to finish that thought, I'm eager to learn from folks what they feel those successes are and challenges are. I think one of the biggest challenges that we face right now is also, I like to see, I hate to talk about challenges without also being able to talk about potential solutions. So in every challenge and every problem, there's also an opportunity. We're in a challenging time in our country and, a time of great change. Wherever you may stand politically, it is a time of tremendous change. And there's no way that doesn't filter down to running a school system and being a student in that school system, being a teacher in that school system. So I think, if that's the challenge, the opportunity here is, it gives us an opportunity to examine truly who we are and want to be and figure out ways in a changing world that we can live out our mission to the best possible way.
Last question, Jeff. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on an issue.
Okay. The one that comes to mind is one that I actually spoke to the board about. I was speaking in a wider sense, but it was related to this issue of the now reverted changes to Title IX. As I understand it, the proposed changes that were leading to some controversy on the board. Some differences of opinion on the board have since been rolled back. But when it looked like those new guidelines protecting the LGBTQ plus students were being considered for, the board was struggling with the question of whether we, formally adopt those or resist that those changes. I spoke in favor of us moving forward with the changes. I know it's moved now, but the issues are still there. My judgment, those new guidelines align with our district values and mission, and my personal belief that the board has to support the rights of our students. I felt that adopting those standards makes most sense from a legal perspective. I understood that our legal counsel, the district's legal counsel, advised that we do that, not put the district at unnecessary risk. I was willing to speak up for that and make that case publicly. As far as personal values and how it worked, what role my personal values play in my responsibility as a board member. We all bring our personal values to the job, and we should. But we also must recognize that others in our community have different personal values, and those values also ought to be considered to the extent that they don't restrict other people's rights or cause needless suffering, I would say. And I think we also need to, as a board, trust the leadership that we put in place to make the best decisions that they can on the ground and work out those difficult issues. I think that our district has been very successful in working those things out. It's not always flashy or within the sight of the public, but some of those things should be done quietly and privately and respectful of the individuals.
Jeff, we'd like to thank you for your time and your interest in this board vacancy, and I will be in touch.
All right, great. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
So we have a few minutes. We're ahead of schedule, which is good. The next person will be here within 7 to 10 minutes, so we'll just take a few minutes to exhale a little bit.
Jason's writing so much that his hand hurts.
Yeah.
Not used to that usually.
I just wish I'd brought my pen.
I know, I was thinking that too. I'm like, dang, I left that in my car.
Do you want pens? I can go get them.
Take a pen. Oh, thank you
Okay,
for
thanks, John.
that. Did you
He's
throw
gonna,
this?
otherwise I'm gonna have to resharpen this back.
Like it's a basketball game?
John's gonna give us some pens.
Good rebound.
I had a friend that actually made this baby.
Oh, really?
Whoa.
My brother makes
On
the
the lake.
stickers for pens.
Yeah,
by the way.
I know.
Is it plastic or is it resin or is it wood?
I think it's resin.
I have so many pens. I just take, I guess I take them, but I get a lot of them from people. They talk to
Well, do
me,
you
but
remember
then if I get a conference, like a fall
So,
conference we have,
she was she did the job of what not to register nurses.
everyone will take a pen.
Good idea.
And they don't care.
husband
Because
need to go.
we've got their stuff on.
Yeah, free advertising.
Now this
Yep. So my brother
Fair
has a
enough.
spring manufacturing company, and he makes all the little springs for Schaefer pens, but then he also makes like caterpillar springs,
Yeah.
Honda, GM, like all these giants.
Hey,
Like,
look at
you never knew you
Ooh,
could
they're the
put
nice
everything
ones too.
off the
The
springs.
gel.
But that's
I
I ruined an entire order of springs.
I'm the only slacker here.
You ever had one explode like the spring goes online and all the
Oh, it's terrible because they have these little, you have to do all the testing on it. You have to see if it's got the right spring. You have to see if it's got the right I messed up
I know.
300,000 little times. It was like this big of a box. And
I was on my
Council.
honeymoon and my dad
But I'm
was
sure
like,
it's
"Ooh,
a lot of
yeah." Sorry, Dad.
You know,
I never
yeah,
had
why did it have to come down to that? Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll make sure everybody's back here. I'll have John connect
Shove
with
it all the
you.
time.
It'll be a very short
Stuff in
turnaround.
there
3,000 of
because,
them went through.
you know, you get back to school
Yeah, it's
and
pretty-
every kid
it was
needs
pretty
another
cool.
pen
Pretty exciting.
every single day because they lose them. It's cool to see them.
Yeah, we gotta be careful not getting too
Yeah.
far ahead of ourselves, because that
Yeah,
last
for
couple
sure, yeah,
people,
because they're both.
about 30 minutes ahead.
Really good seasons.
Right.
Unless they could
Then we
come.
could order lunch. shouldn't we?
I know. I think he's dropping a strong hint here.
I know. Like I said, tough crowd.
I know.
Yeah.
I'd have been happy with a crumble cookie.
Yeah.
Roger, still no water usage there, so we're good.
That's
still.
good.
Still the
Okay.
same bottle.
Lewis saw one of your kids at the hockey game. Yeah, oh, yeah, I saw AJ. And I was like, AJ, wait, huh? No. It was, I was like, no, it was your AJ. And, yeah, so you got the news that we're not working this summer. Sorry. I'm like, no, yeah, you are the news. So Lewis is like, oh, am I gonna have to work with little kids? He'd be so good though. He's so good with the little kids. They like jump all over him
Dude,
and
BC's
you know,
basketball
and they
team.
don't have boys a lot of times at Treehouse. I'm like, you'd be a shoe in.
They're playing college level.
They want him. They want
It's
him.
unbelievable. They're so.
That's what I said. I'm like, you could do one or the other. I talked with Lisa. She actually said to talk to Treehouse because they go back and forth so much. But yeah. Now that he has the girlfriend, he's like, I need a job.
Yeah, and they're just,
I need a job.
they play smart.
And the car,
They're
need gas money.
So it was fun to watch, but I can't wait to watch it tomorrow night. It's gonna be a good game against East Campbell, because East Campbell has height, and they play 4 sophomores. Where are they playing? Yeah.
Brent, what are your boys gonna do this
Text-
summer?
Text me and I'll bring you through it.
I don't know yet.
Treehouse.
Yeah, because that's, but EK's
Telling ya.
EK's gonna be good in a couple of years. They're playing 4 sophomores. There's one junior.
Next week.
I know. That's the exact
Yeah,
same
ours
question
is
someone
home
else
next
said.
week.
You're
Well,
right, they're transitory.
Tomorrow at some
In
point.
fact, I talked to V Clay, our basketball coach, and he's like, I get phone calls a lot, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you have to move into the district here. Yeah, we won't do that. But
We're gonna have 10 out of 11 grandkids with us down in Florida for spring break. And our oldest is a U of M freshman, so she can't come.
that too.
That would be fun. Where are you going?
We've gone for decades now to this condo complex in New Smyrna
Yeah,
Beach.
I know, that's
It's right on the
job
beach,
again.
where
Yeah, for
there's
sure.
nothing higher than 4 or 5 stories, so you're not.
Oh, nice. No high rise.
Where's New Smyrna Beach at?
That's about, I'd say 15 miles south of Daytona.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a sleepy little village. It's great. It's not highly commercial. Yeah. It's right on the beach too. It's nice.
Nice.
It's also the shark bite capital of the world. I'll have you know.
Oh, I thought that was Cocoa.
So there's
People getting
that.
bit by sharks?
What's that?
Yeah.
getting-
Oh, yeah. I thought that was Cocoa Beach.
No.
Cocoa
it's
Beach
New
is near
Smyrna.
there.
It's just
Okay.
it's south.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we went with friends to Cocoa Beach. They're like, oh, we have a house. I'm like, okay, we'll go, sure, whatever. And then they're like, yeah, this is the Shark Lake. I'm like, yeah, thanks for inviting us.
Well, one year we actually did see 2 great whites about probably 200 yards off the beach. You know. And we found out that they were that because the local folks told us that they have trackers on them, and a lot of the locals have the app that they can track. I think one's name was Penny, and the other, I can't remember the other.
Get it.
Congo
As
or
long as it's not
something.
penny wise.
But
I'm
it
getting
was
that water.
incredible because you saw from way
That's-
far
that has a
away.
big
Oh, man.
You saw these
red balloon
enormous
over it.
fins off the water. It was amazing.
Oh, man. Oh, forget it. I don't need that. I don't need that kind of drama in my life.
But that's what they do, though. The locals track where they are,
Yeah.
so that they're not in there.
You just better hope you got all.
Right.
AJ and I swam
They
last year
offered
in
to
spring
leave it
break
open
at
for us.
Daytona.
Like,
yeah,
you're gonna need that.
It's like
And
you
I'm
can't
maybe.
see
I know, they shut down at
That
9:30,
much
they're
no.
done.
That's the
Yeah,
geriatric.
Give her a few minutes and whenever she's ready.
Sometimes I fall asleep on the couch.
So Mary's here, we'll give her a few minutes to settle in and instead of just jumping right in here. And I told Scott, bring her in when she's ready.
Roger, I talked to Charlie and Josh tonight.
Did you?
At the game, and just told them what a great job they did the other
Yeah,
day.
that's
They
good.
handled it
And
so
Charlie
far.
came up to
down
me
some of these
yesterday, I was
signs.
at the varsity game.
Yeah.
At the end of the month.
And
Oh,
he's
that's a good
like,
point.
"Did
We're
you
not far
hear
away,
all
are
last
we?
night?"
No,
I
it's
said, "Oh,
not.
yeah, I did. Sounds like you did well."
Which is unreal. It's gonna be March.
Well, some people just can't behave. Yeah.
I just felt so bad for that little girl. It's just gotta be
Have you guys decided
terrible,
what you're
terrible.
doing for spring
If
break?
that's happening.
I know
what's
we
happening
wanna do, we just
at
haven't
home,
booked it
you know,
yet.
that's so
Yeah.
scary to think about it.
Because my
What's the
son is still
worst?
Joe,
waffling and
seen
seeing
that.
It's
over the
a
years.
long story, but basically.
Try to get a
an
group of
out
guys together to do
control
something.
parent From the
No, it's
opposing
just-
team and ended up with
Are you still
the
thinking
daughter
about Puerto
leaving
Rico?
with the
No, we're gonna go to
upset,
Arizona.
crying,
Oh, okay.
apologizing to
We're
our
gonna go to Arizona
administration.
and just do some
for,
hiking and, you
Nice.
know. go
Their,
around.
her behavior.
That's where I wanted to go this year, but
Yeah.
both of
It's
them,
sad
like, Luke wanted to go to
enough
the
itself,
Tigers
but,
game because he hasn't never been to one.
Yeah.
AJ
Yeah,
wanted to
but
go
our
back to Disney because he doesn't
Team
remember
did
it,
an
so.
incredible job dealing with
So you're doing both?
Yeah.
Pathetic.
You know, the Disney one, we're just doing like a
Passionate,
they have it like a Monday night thing.
they're
where
out
it's
the door.
from like
Best they could, so.
7 to midnight or something
Oh,
like that.
okay,
So
yeah.
it's like half price of a.
Oh, okay. The
Nice.
magic hours.
So I
of
can
this-
get,
I was
so I
torn.
can get him in and
I'm
you
sitting there
can
going,
see what it
should
looks
I
like
help?
again. And
Sure.
I probably shouldn't help.
That's
It's really
awesome.
not my
I
place.
can identify
That's
with
awesome.
that.
Then
'cause
you
we
get
have
spring
friends
training
where
day.
Yeah.
but I'm like,
Yeah, we have
okay,
tickets for Saturdays.
they're aware.
Oh, cool.
Let
Yeah.
them handle it. Don't you
So what do you
bust
leave?
in,
Yeah.
'cause you might be needed for something else.
Yeah, something else
What do
happened.
they play?
I just got up and started kind of walking.
But it's not like a split squad or nothing.
Making my way slowly,
Luke
because they're
Bottom-
yelling and screaming or something.
Because I told them that if I go in,
It was
that
fine.
we need
Yeah.
to
They
take
did it.
our seats in the shade.
Thanks.
So and there's like a limited number of them.
Looking
He bought
out
them like
for them and
6 weeks ago or
keeping me
something.
informed
So,
on that
Clearwater?
piece.
And Aaron
Like-
Berlin seen me the next
so
day.
I didn't even know who they're playing.
Hey,
I'm sure he
I
does.
heard there was some excitement. I'm like, yeah.
I'm just going.
It was
You know, we've only
it's
been to
actually
one spring
pretty
training
sad.
Yeah,
for
that is-
Yankees. That was,
Yeah, it
Yankees
is. There's
down
nothing
in
worse than
Campbell.
that. I've seen that.
Man,
As a
it's a
coach,
pretty
I've
stadium
seen
down there, but
people do that to
Yeah.
I don't know what
Yeah.
the rest of the
Like,
stadiums are like.
what are you
for
doing?
spring training.
Had
I was
that
kind of
superintendent
kind of impressed because it was
varsity
bigger.
basketball coach
Felt bigger than like the White House
apologized to
Stadium.
me
You know, for spring training.
for the way his
Isn't that,
son
you know,
played.
interesting.
And I'm like,
And I assume because it's
excuse me?
Florida, right?
I
It's
said,
nice all
your
year round.
son
You probably
is,
have other
and
teams
the
playing
kid
there when
is,
they're not
he's like,
there.
he was a
So-
6'5"
I looked at the Tigers one
And
yesterday
and
just to
kid
see
was
like where parking
6'10"
is.
and
and
played a
I
little
didn't
bit
know
better that particular
if you can't
game.
park away from it.
Kid
and
played
you
hard,
didn't
he
know
did
that
every- he didn't do
parking is right there, but they said
And I'm
that
like,
they have
I'm like,
one of the Tigers.
what are you doing?
like A division, which would be something.
He said that
like
in front of his
White House.
kid?
Okay.
Yeah,
Play
you
all
don't
sides too.
apologize. I said, your kid is
Like,
incredible.
they
Yeah,
don't like
good
it
for
because
you.
they can imagine
Great
playing in the summer. They're
athlete.
like
Why are you
in the
apologizing?
middle of the day.
For you,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be brutal.
I just remember,
Yeah,
you know,
that's just-
I think, is it
Yeah.
Raymond J? Is that what
I was
Campbell?
sad.
Campbell plays Raymond J Stadium?
They do.
So I don't know how new
Yeah,
Raymond J Stadium
right.
is,
Yeah.
because I remember there being the Tampa Stadium, you could see it out in the outfield, or, you know,
See,
through
I've seen it
through the
too,
outfield.
not to that
That was
extent, but
outstanding,
yeah.
But I'm like,
So here's a
did they
good,
build a new
good
one, or is that-
humor
that's still there?
story for you.
But anyway, so that's
now I
kind
think
of
she
the
might be
location of where it
coming,
was.
so I'll hold it to the next break.
Yeah.
I actually looked
Next
today just
break.
to see if there's any other,
Next
because we have like
conversation.
things to do
Yeah,
for
there
the
you
first 3 days,
Yeah.
but not after that. So I was looking at other places, the other spring training games.
She matches her.
And Tampa has basically two, the Yankees and actually,
Hi, Mary.
like in St. Pete, there's like Toronto
Hi, Mary.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, official here.
Yeah. Mary, thanks so much for taking the time to not only reply, but be here tonight for our interviews. We really appreciate your time. We have a number of questions that we're going to ask you,
Okay.
and we're going to keep our words short so that you can take the time that you'd like to use to answer those, okay?
Okay,
All
sounds
right.
good.
So I get to start,
Okay.
and the first question is, we'd like you to tell us about you and why you are interested in serving on the school board.
Sure. So Many of you might know, but if you don't, I'm a lifelong Bulldog myself, K through 12. Grew up in the district, grew up in Standale, going to Cummings, and moved mid-school year in 5th grade over to the other side of the river, and I went to West Elementary. So have a unique experience just by kind of experiencing different sides of the district. I'm a mom of 2 now, 6 and 4. They're young. My son William's in kindergarten. He was in early kindergarten last year, and before that went to the Early Learning Center. And we've had nothing but great experiences with all of those different places for him. He has an IEP as well, so navigating that, it's been so nice to have so much support with the school. So other than that, I just love to contribute to our community as a person and with my business. I obviously have a lot that I feel like I owe to my life for growing up in this area. I definitely believe in lifelong learning, and so I'm interested in this just to serve a role in the next 15 years or so that I'm going to be around raising my kids. And I think just with my history and my skills to do with owning a business, but also working for Downtown Development Authority in Grand Rapids and the downtown market for a decade, being on the admin side of board management, I appreciate what the admin role entails and understand board dynamics and what it takes to kind of cooperate and work together to get things done for the betterment of the community. So those are some of the reasons why I'm interested in serving. So I'll leave it there, I think.
Thank you.
All right, next question. What do you see as the role of a school board member?
Well, the role of a school board member is to hire and review superintendents, to determine some of the curriculum for the district, as well as be fiscally responsible, make good financial decisions for the district. Outside of those main priorities, I believe building strong community ties is important, and building relationships and representing Grandville schools in a professional way, led by integrity, and just being, having the best interests of the schools and the students specifically at heart. So other than the formal duties, I think it's important to also, visit the schools, be there, see what's going on in those schools. So, but not micromanage. So that's how I would approach this.
All right, thank you.
At times, you may be caught between legitimately opposing viewpoints. There may be difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold. How will you handle this?
I am a person that can separate my personal beliefs from a situation or a decision. I believe myself to have really good critical thinking skills. I surround myself with people of all different backgrounds, and I actually enjoy that. So as far as being able to separate those things, I'm confident I'm able to do that. I have seen, with my time working for the downtown and community organizations, I've seen a lot. Just, I pretty much could have a PhD in watching a board operate and making important decisions. So as far as that goes, I'm not concerned. I wouldn't be able to look at the whole situation, research, get the knowledge I need to make a sound decision, and taking my personal opinions and beliefs out of it. And also being lawful. I think that's important too. So following the law, the policy, whatever the issue might be, I think it's, I'm a data-driven person, so I would probably start with diving deep into the issue, whatever it might be.
Okay, my turn. Working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skills in communication and decision-making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team?
Yeah. I'm a collaborative person. I enjoy meeting people, talking with people, working through problems with people. As part of this process, I've reached out to all of you just out of respect and just, I've had some great conversations. So I think that would be something I'd continue to do. I don't like silos. I kind of actually believe in over communicating, if you will. I feel like communication is usually the root of every problem, if you think about it. So I see myself definitely being collaborative, open to hearing others' points of view, and, behaving professionally. I feel proud of the career I've had. I have a background in human resources before I'm doing what I'm doing now. So as far as being able to understand policy and how to work with people, I've done a lot of that in my leadership roles in human resources, like Jason, that takes a lot of skills being in the HR world. And even now, building my business, being very plugged in to the community and meeting new people. I meet new people almost every week in what I do. So as far as being able to be collaborative and work as a team and be efficient, I get stuff done. That's why I like to move fast and just get things done. So as far as that goes, I think there'd be no issue there. I work hard, I get it done, and I like to collaborate with others that are involved.
All right, Mary, my turn. So our district focus areas are, and there's 2 of them, ensuring each student reaches his or her full academic potential, and every student who comes through our doors feels safe, has a sense of belonging, and has the support systems in place to reach their full potential. So it's a 2-part question. What does every student reaching their full academic potential mean to you?
So students, like all people, are so different, and they operate different, and they have different backgrounds. I think each student reaching their potential, it's what that means for them, what their interests are, where their skills are, and I think it's important that as a school district and as educators, we kind of meet kids where they are, and give them the tools they need to figure out what's going to make them successful in their academic career, but also after they leave Grandville. So whether that's, a child that's interested, in our robotics program, which is amazing, or sports, or DECA, which when I was in school was Business Professionals of America. I think all of those things are valid, and I think each child also learns differently. And I think that's something to consider as well. So that's what I think academic success looks like. I also, Grandville's always been known for its academic standards and excellence. That was a great point of pride, at least when I attended, that it was Grandville was the place. And I think it's still the place. I think we're still a destination district, which is something to be proud of, and I just would want to make sure we maintain that. And in the ever-changing landscape and technology in the world, it's year to year that could look different as well. So yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. I don't know there's a one answer for academic excellence. I think that could look different depending on the standards and the student.
So you sort of answered it, but then the second part of the question is, how does a student know that he or she belongs? What do you think that piece of it is?
So I don't know if it's necessarily we can tell students all day, that you belong, but do they feel like they belong? Because that's 2 different things. To be honest, never really felt like I belonged, and we've all probably felt like that. I think I also think it's important that we help kids navigate like the world post Grandville, and give them tools for like perseverance and grit. Because once you leave the school walls, you know, a lot of that could go away. So I am all for a welcoming environment. I do think I feel like we've all been there where you feel it or you don't. And so I would be more interested in, you know, are our students feeling that way, or are we just saying that they do but they don't feel that? So I think there's a difference there. And of course, I would want everyone to feel like they belong, because I have definitely been in the seat where, you know, you don't feel like that. And it makes my heart hurt for kids that don't feel like that.
Why should you be the person selected to fill this vacant board position?
Yeah, so I mentioned at the beginning, you know, I've grew up here. I think it's unique. I think that, I also think there's a lot of moms with young kids right now that I talk to with my involvement in the PTC and otherwise in Granville that would really like to see someone like them on this board, that are going through similar things. And the future, you know, between now and I really feel like we're at the beginning of, you know, with AI, and obviously we all know social media, with my business being in social media and digital communications, and I'm heavily involved in staying up to date with AI issues. I feel like we need to think about now, but we also need to think about the future and what this board member can bring to this board. And I feel like I bring something that's not currently represented on this board, and I think that's important. And I also think, I mean, bottom line is, you know, clearly everyone here knows I've campaigned for this position. So if you've been in that seat, you know how much work it is. Hours, long days, months, money. So I clearly put in the work, and not that to say that that's the reason I should get this at all, but I do think that whoever is placed, you know, I would hope that they put the effort in, and I definitely would put the effort in, and to learn everything I need to learn to be an effective board member. And no one, whenever I do anything, it's never halfway. So I think I could be a great asset to this community. I think I could offer a lot. I think also it speaks a lot that a person that attended this school district is now sitting here saying, I want to serve this school district. In 20 years from now, I would want kids that are in school now to be wanting to serve on this board. I think that's important. So I have a lot to offer, education, experience. I think I'm a kind-hearted person, and I think that I really care about kids. I have two. I have one that is, you know, a bit, you know, William has his challenges, and I understand that. And I think that's important to have someone that understands those things. So those are some of the reasons. And I think that's it.
I'm going to keep going because we have a little more time.
Sure.
So what are the successes within our school district that you see, and the challenges that you see?
So some of the successes, like I kind of alluded to, I mean, Grandville's a sought-after place for families. I think that sounds like, oh yeah, of course it is, but there's places where it's not like that. So I think the fact that people still want to move here and send their kids here, they want to move and send their kids to our school, I think that says a lot. And it says even a lot that, you know, I want to send my kids to this school district, and I'm raising my kids here. So I think that's wonderful. I think other successes are, I mentioned before, the robotics program. That's an amazing, like, national, just a program that Granville can really say, wow, like, it's impressive, leading the way in that field. Doug's doing great work. I've spoken with him, you know, I haven't been involved as much because of my kids being so young, but I could definitely see my William wanting to do that. But I know Doug's been great, and we've had great conversations. He's supportive of me. Other great things, the strength and conditioning program at the high school, all the different programs we offer, the AP courses, the awards that our elementary schools, middle school, high school has won over the years. So there's many successes, and there's many things to be proud of for, you know, Grandville Public Schools. Some challenges, I think, like a lot of districts in the country, I don't think we're exempt from the challenges that any school district probably experiences. I mean, 5 years ago, we all went through a worldwide pandemic, which seems like a long time ago, but in reality, you know, there's still things that have resulted out of that we need to make sure that we make sure the students are like caught up or getting caught up, and we need to make sure that they're where they need to be for the level and age they are. Like I said, I appreciate data, so I think we need to continue to focus on being able to teach the kids the things they need to know to be successful in life, and to launch them into the world successfully. So I think, so to sum it up, a challenge would just be, you know, the regular challenges of when you have a diverse set of students in your district, making sure we keep up the academic and the instruction is at a high level, and that we're giving students options to whatever those options are, whatever they find they're interested in, that we support that, so they can go off and have a really good, solid base to live their life, much like I feel I have had. So I would want that for students now and moving into the future. So, yeah.
One more question?
Sure.
All right, last one. Identify a recent school board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how you would vote on the issue. It's a long one, but.
Yeah. Okay, so first and foremost, we kind of talked, you know, discussed, or I discussed this to you before. I think it always starts with, you know, policy and law. So I think that will help guide a lot of that. I mean, we all were here recently, you know, there was with the 2020 version of Title IX, and, you know, there was a lot surrounding that. Ultimately, we have to follow the law. So the community had their feedback on that issue, and the issue was put to rest based on that. So, which I support. So I think, you know, I think it's important that the community has the opportunity to share their opinions and voice. I think it's honestly great that so many people care so much to want to share how they feel about our schools. And then, you know, so, I mean, that was one issue. Again, you know, my personal beliefs aren't what I'm bringing to this table. I'm bringing, again, critical thinking, dissemination of policy, law, looking at a lot of different things. So it's hard to really pick one thing and say, you know, it's hard to answer that. But I can just tell you that's how I would approach any issue that would come before this board as a board member.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
it.
you.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Great,
time.
thank you.
I will be in touch.
Okay.
We're in the same boat. Person should be here within the next 5 to 7 minutes, so we've got a little bit of break, a little bit of time.
Well, Raj, they all listened to you so far.
Yeah?
Must have been pretty
sternly worded message.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Roger, he's scared.
Come on. I think so. Come on. Brent, didn't you guys do an Arizona trip?
Well,
Or you did, or did
you tell me.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay. I remember seeing pictures or something.
If I did do, like if it was my choice this year, that's where we would have gone.
Yeah, got it.
That's what I would, next year, that's what I would like to go back to do, is go more Grand Canyon and places in southern Arizona and stuff. So we made one,
Cool.
we made one trip to Grand Canyon, like on a winter break, and then we made another trip on spring break where we went to the 5 parks in Utah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I think you did that too, didn't you?
Well, no, we did, well, I guess it's,
Might as
it
well.
gets so squirrely in there, right? It was Bryce and Zion. And then,
Arches.
no, we didn't do Arches. So what we did, we were starting in Vegas and then we went to Bryce.
Same way we did.
Bryce and Zion, or Zion and Bryce, whatever one, which way it goes, right? And then back down to like Big Bend, or the Bend,
Yeah.
and then the Grand Canyon, and then back up, to the Jam and stuff like that.
Did you hike down to the bottom?
Of what?
Of
Which
the
one?
Grand Canyon?
No, you kidding me? We just did the outer rim. We did the outer rim, right?
We did that, done it
same
twice.
We did Angel's Landing.
Yeah,
Are they here?
okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, give her, let's say.
If you ever
5
do, you hike
yeah.
down the Kaibab Trail, and you hike back up the Bright Angel Trail.
Yeah.
Because the Kaibab is steep and fast.
So far, we're good,
Okay.
but.
The Bright Angel is less steep, but a little bit longer.
Have you done Angel's Landing?
Well, that's, you go onto that on the way back up on Bright Angel Trail.
Angel's Landing?
Yeah.
In Zion?
No, oh, no, sorry, I'm
Oh, okay, I was gonna
sorry.
say, yeah.
There's a.
See, I would
Bright
go
Angel.
down. I would go down. I just would need a mule to bring me back up. That's what that was.
Actually, you know what, going down is
It's hard.
hard.
Hard on your toes and
Yeah.
knees.
You've got to make sure your toenails are clipped way back, and your knees are in healthy shape.
Yeah, yeah.
We went down and we stayed at Phantom Ranch for 2 nights, which was
Oh, wow.
magical. That was so cool.
Yeah.
And there's all these little, so there's a Bright Angel Creek that feeds down from the north rim through there, and comes down to the Colorado River, and so it has all these little tributaries, and so you can go exploring in there.
That's cool.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Watch videos of people that whitewater raft through the Grand Canyon.
Oh, wow.
And they have the different camping spots along the way. That looks awesome.
That looks
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
But there's seems like there's years waits to get on those.
Yeah, it's pretty restricted, right? Yeah, it's
They
tough
don't allow
to
a
get.
certain number of them.
Yeah, especially the camping portion.
We were supposed to go whitewater rafting like around Georgia. It wasn't like as massive as that, but then Arthur went to a wrestling practice and somebody stepped on his or landed on his foot and cracked his foot. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it's so sad.
Yeah, we did whitewater rafting, and it was very minimal rapid, but it was in the Smokies. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. We always said, we got to do that again sometime soon with a little harder rapids. But I mean, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I feel like I'm
But,
not in shape to do any of that stuff right now.
Well, I'm trying to remember what we did at Bryce Canyon, because we did a hike there. The Angel's Landing is supposedly like one of the most dangerous.
Angel Landing is in Zion.
Yeah, that's one of the most dangerous
Yeah.
ones, they say.
We didn't go all the way to, once the chains started, we had
Yeah.
we stopped. AJ and I started to go, but then there was people coming down and you had to let go of the chains, and I was like,
Oh.
we're done. We're just we don't need to do this.
My youngest did that. My youngest went up there by himself. I mean, because he's a freaking mountain goat anyway. So, but I mean, the rest of us, we got up to that point, right? We're like, all right, this is a good place to stop. Right where the chain start.
See you later, Jay.
There's so many
Catch
people
you on the
there.
other side.
But he was just he shot up that thing so fast, and he was way ahead of us. But those switchbacks,
Yeah.
right at the end there, I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh my god, that almost killed me. Holy cow! I can't remember what they said the incline was on those switchbacks, but it's tough. I mean, you do like. You go all that way, then you get to that top, and then all right, you get these switchbacks, and it's like you do 2 or 3, and you're like, I gotta stop.
Yeah.
You do 2 or 3 more, I gotta stop.
I think that's at like 5,000 or 6,000 foot elevation.
Yeah, it goes. It's up there.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm so glad, we did it. We started in the morning, and I didn't even think about that. But by afternoon, man, that sun is beating, especially right on that start area where you're going up the side. It's crazy. But, you know, you have so much respect for people from all over the globe, right? I mean, there were so many people from, like, you know, like India or Afghanistan or someplace like that. They're just wearing sandals.
I know, they're crazy.
And I'm like, you know, and I thought, okay, I'm not in the greatest shape ever, right? But these people didn't look like they were even in the shape I am. But they're still just walking. It was like, what is wrong with me, right? I could have special shoes on and everything else. I got sandals and they're walking up there and they're super struggling.
On one of
Like,
our
what in the world?
return hikes back up from Fan Ranch at the bottom of the canyon, we encountered these two Japanese women. They had these teeny tiny little sandals,
Yeah.
and then they had their suitcase on rollers.
Oh,
I'm like, we are covered in pink dust because the dust there is very pink.
Yeah.
We're like grubbed out totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But our youngest daughter and her then new husband went out on their honeymoon out there to Zion. I can't remember which park it was, but they actually rappelled down into,
Oh, wow.
you know, the cave areas.
Yeah.
Just got fun.
I still want to do, what is that, the river there in Zion that you can go hike down, or you can go down. We didn't do it.
Isn't it like the Burton River or something like that?
Something like that. It's got a crazy name.
Yeah.
But there's this river, and
Yeah, we didn't do that either because we went, it was too cold.
it was too cold, or the time of year, you still have
And
to
I'm
slow
going
down.
back to the people in
And
sandals.
it can get really
Yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah, it was still like the snow melt was coming off.
Yeah, so the rapids are too rapid. Well, at least, but I say that the hotel that's there in the park, there was people, they gave them like these wetsuits and stuff like that, and they were heading down there. I'm like,
Gosh. Wow.
good luck, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I can't remember what it's called. It's not called the Narrows.
And it's
Yeah,
covered.
that
Is
is
it?
it. That's what Maddie and Mike did.
Okay, yeah, the Narrows, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I get that in the Wave, which is down in Arizona, right on the Indian.
Havasu.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Havasu Falls area.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, there's just so much to see.
There is.
It's just
The country has so many incredible places to visit. It's really cool.
And I still loved Yosemite. Yosemite.
I've not.
Oh.
El Capitan, did you
Oh,
see
yeah.
that? Yeah, incredible.
It's unbelievable. I remember, you remember driving there. That's when we flew into like San Francisco or Oakland, and then just kind of drove to the coast and came over anyway. But you come in and you start to see like some things, right? You know, off the road. And you're like, oh, we're gonna pull over and take a picture. Hey, there's a waterfall that looks like it's about 3 miles away. Oh, that's really cool, right? And take a picture of it. Oh, okay. And you go through another tunnel. Oh, okay, look at things are really cool, right? And then also you come into the Yosemite Valley, and it's just like boom. It's everything is right there, and you're like, oh my gosh, this makes all that stuff that I thought was so cool about a mile back just pale in comparison. It's gorgeous. It's just
You know, one
unbelievable.
of the things I would ever suggest to people is go to the Grand Canyon when the astrology societies are there.
Oh, really?
They have telescopes this like from here to that wall.
Yeah.
Like, and then they have the coolest laser pointers you've ever seen. It literally they can circle stars. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And we went there when the kids were little, and
Yeah.
we thought we lost my dad, but I mean that's a different story. But no, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I want to go back through when all those guys are there. It was just the coolest thing.
What's in Yosemite? So it's El Capitan. What's the other one? Is it on the other side?
Dome or something?
Yeah, Half
Yeah.
Dome.
Oh,
Half
yeah.
Dome,
Okay, yep.
So El Capitan, right? And I can't remember the name of that movie, but there's a guy that like speed climbs that.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
It's on like the Disney
It is.
network.
Netflix,
This
isn't
guy,
it?
yeah, he
Yeah.
speed climbs it, right?
Yeah.
But the reason I tell you the story, like he's done it in like 4 hours or 3 hours, right? But I tell you the story because you go there and you're like looking at this thing, and it's this huge, massive, structure, and you're like, hey, what's that dot there, right? And you get out your binoculars, look at it. It's someone camping on the side because they've only made it halfway and they got to stop.
Yeah.
And so they camped it, and it's like, okay, this dude's making it in 3-4 hours, and there's
that
other
guy
people
did it
that are
on
doing
Tether.
it.
He did
Yes,
it
he does it on
Tether.
Tether too.
No,
I can't remember his name.
We just
I can't remember
took
either.
a little.
We actually watched that.
And he's got some type of
Midtime.
physical condition too, where his cortisone levels don't like spike, so he doesn't get nervous. So that allows him to do it
Oh,
and stuff like that.
interesting.
Yeah. They've measured it on. I say cortisone. I don't know what the chemical is, but there's something about him that he doesn't like. His heart rate doesn't get like
You know what, I got a secret for you though, if you ever hike in elevation again, because I hiked the Utica Trail, got up to 14.7.
I switched insurance.
That's crazy.
No, but
Insurance instead of the teacher's insurance.
this is a basic,
No, I mean, it's the same.
or dilator,
It's the
right?
same.
So it lets the oxygen flow through.
Okay.
Makes you
I had to
yeah.
like call.
Yeah, I didn't use that.
Yeah.
We used the coca leaves.
Oh.
Guides, we stick it in.
Oh.
Hi, Jackie.
Hello.
Good evening. Ready, Raj? Jackie, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate the fact that you took the time to apply for this and that you're here tonight for our interview. We have a series of questions that we're going to ask you, and we'll take turns doing that.
Okay.
We're just going to try to keep our words as few as possible so that you can take the time that you need, okay?
Great.
So I'm going to start, and the first question is, please tell us about you and why you are interested in serving on the school board.
Sure. My name is Jackie Pullman. As you all know, I have 2 children in the district, so obviously being a parent, that's the first reason I want to serve on the board. My son Max is a senior at the high school, and he's involved in everything from varsity soccer to being a National Honor Society member, being one of the exec board members. He's involved in so many clubs, I can't even keep them all straight. My daughter Claire is a 6th grader at Oakstown, and she's involved with the Image program, the Amazing Shake. She plays in the band. I actually just had to leave Battle of the Books practice night to come here, so I had to kind of pivot gears to make arrangements to be here. So they're both really involved learners, and we've really appreciated the depth of things that Grandville offers for them to be involved in. When I'm not dealing with them, I am a self-employed digital marketing consultant, and I know a couple of the other finalists are also kind of in the marketing and communications realm. What I do that's a little different is I focus more on the technical side and the technology that populates a lot of the things that we're using in our businesses every day. For example, I've got a client that's at the home show right now, and I just helped him set it up so that when he talks to someone at the home show, he can get their contact information. It gets filled into a database. Then from there, it automates a series where he gets added to an email list and they start getting emails from him. So that's a real simple example. I do things that are a lot more complicated than that, but I think that technology piece is something that would be a unique perspective that I could bring to the board as we're using more AI. We're using more digital tools since, you know, we were in the pandemic and we all had to do things on Zoom that we weren't used to and pivoting really fast. One other perspective that I think is a unique thing that I bring to the board is that I'm a single parent, and I did some research before I came in here tonight, and I saw that about 10% of Grandville is also single parents, and so 15% is each board member, so having someone that would represent the board as a single parent I think would bring a really unique perspective.
Thank you.
All right, I have the next question. What do you see as the role of a school board member?
According to the Michigan Association of School Boards, there are 3 main components to being a school board member. One is to set the budget for the district, one is to set the curriculum, and the third is the hiring and firing of the superintendent, which we have Roger to thank.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, just trying to keep up.
I talk fast. I hear that a lot.
At times you may be caught between legitimately opposing viewpoints. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you're required to uphold. How would you handle this?
One of the things that we talked about, this was actually a big topic of conversation in my church community as we, you know, we're all very polarized, we have lots of opposing viewpoints, is that more than one thing can be true at one time. And I think this is a really great example of that. What I personally believe may not necessarily be right for children, may not be right for Michigan, may not be right for Grandville, may not even be right for different parts of Grandville. One of the things I love about living here is that we are so large geographically. And my kids went to Cummings, and I live over here by the high school, so I did kind of an intra-district transfer for a lot of reasons. But even seeing the changes in philosophies and just some of the interactions I have with Cummings parents versus parents from other schools, there is a difference. So I think it's really important as a board member to recognize just how many different perspectives and how many different places people are coming from, and using that to guide the interaction to make the decisions that are right, not just for us, but for all of Grandville and our students and our staff.
Working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skills in communication and decision-making. How do you see yourself working with other members on the leadership team?
Well, as I said, I'm in the communications field, so this is something I do all the time, all day, every day. One unique thing about me is I spent the last year working as a marketing manager for 2 political candidates in Ottawa County. And those 2 candidates and I did not always agree on everything. They both really tried to have a diverse array of viewpoints on their staff. So we'd have people that were on the very conservative end of things and people on the very liberal end of things. And oftentimes that candidate was looking for a response that would be in the middle. Similarly, it was a very kind of bipartisan election season. So you'd have people that were on the left that were really angry about something that they said, and then you'd also have people on the right that were angry. So we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what's the best answer for, in that case, Ottawa County, but what's the thing that makes the most sense for the most people and does the most good? And I see that as a perspective and an experience that would really benefit me on the board too, as I'm looking. I mean, it's not hard to find common ground with people, and that's something I would definitely try to do. Whether it's, we're talking about the Lions, we're talking about our kids' ages and their activities, like you can always find something to agree with and get along with people on. And if you start with that and you build that trust, then you can build the relationship from there.
Thanks.
So my question is, it's a 2-parter, but I'm going to give you the intro to it. It's a little different. Our district focus areas, and there's 2 of them, ensuring each student reaches his or her full academic potential, and every student who comes through our doors feels safe, has a sense of belonging, and has the support systems in place to reach their full potential. So the first part of the question is, what does every student reaching their full academic potential mean to you?
I think there's multiple answers to that. I think there's one kind of boring and bread and butter answer, which is test scores, graduation numbers, all those kind of statistics that say, yes, we had, our spring math scores went up by this much, our reading scores declined, or went up or down, our math scores went up or down. But more importantly, I think, being a self-employed person and leaving the corporate world, it's really helped me showcase to my kids that success isn't necessarily being the president of a company. It's, do I have the kind of life that makes me feel happy inside? And I think one of the things that I think is kind of a challenging point for Grandville is we are so college prep focused still. And I think we have room to grow in the area of being there for those kids who may not necessarily be on that college prep path. Like, how can we guide them into a way where they feel successful, where they have purpose, where they have passion, even if it doesn't mean the traditional 4-year after college path, after graduation. So I think getting them to success is figuring out what that is for each and every individual student. And then what was the second part? That was a lot.
Well, you sort of answered it, but
Okay.
you probably can give more detail on it. How does a student know that he or she belongs while she's at school?
I'm not sure if that's a question that can be answered for every student every day. And I'll give you an example. My son, and he's probably going to cringe if he hears that, my son has a great group of friends. Like, he's constantly, texting people, going out with people, going and doing things. But he's had some moments where he's come to me and he said, Mom, I feel really alone. And he feels safe enough to tell me that and talk to me about that. But I think everyone goes through life feeling like they don't belong at one point. And having the empathy of knowing that everyone does go through that is what makes people like him feel safe to come to someone and say, I feel really alone right now, can you help me? And ask for that help. So I think the best way we can do that is to provide the space, and maybe it's being there for that one student who doesn't have anyone to talk to and say, you look like you need someone, can I help you? What's going on? And sometimes it just takes as little as that, as reaching out and giving someone a safe space to let themselves be heard. That makes all the difference in the world in making people feel like they belong.
Jacqueline, why should you be the person selected to fill this vacant board position?
I think I bring the 3 unique perspectives that I talked about earlier. First of all, the technology piece. I do a lot of work with AI. AI is going to be taking over a lot of the things that our educators are doing and that our students are going to want to do. There's also the issues of cyber safety and cyberbullying. I'm on social media all day long. I'm seeing the trends. I'm seeing what's coming. I'm seeing what people are working on. in the social media space. Secondly, I have the experience of working in the public sector with those 2 political campaigns that I talked about. I've worked across the aisle with people that I may disagree with and trying to find consensus with other people. Third, as I mentioned, I'm a single parent, and that's a perspective that's not currently represented on this board. And I'll throw in a fourth one because I just thought of it. I have children that have both gone through the entire process of going through Grandville, and I also have one that's just kind of beginning their path and is still in that intermediate stage. So I know we've got some board members that have high school students, but I really think it's important to bring in that younger perspective, those younger students, to kind of see what they're going through and have that empathy of learning of what is kind of making them tick too.
Okay, next one is, what are the successes within our school district and what are the challenges?
Oh, the successes, I mean, there are so many, geez. I'll just point out one. I love the Amazing Shake, and that's such a unique program. It's the thing that I tell people about when they say, why should my kids go to Grandville, which is something that I do in public spaces every day because I love this community and I love evangelizing about this community. But that program, especially because, number one, it allows children who may not be that academic learner to have a space where they can succeed. I also love, and I volunteered it at both years in a row because I think it's such a cool thing. It's really great to let the business owners in our community see what our students are doing, feel that sense of belonging in the community. And also, one of the things I loved about it was there were some kids that, like, I don't want to do this. I don't feel comfortable. And that was okay too. It's a really great experience for everyone to kind of find where they can be successful at. The biggest challenges, I'll say the tech piece again, I'll keep hitting that, like the cyberbullying, people posting things, not just kids, but we've seen it with adults too, especially in races like this one. I think the politicization of public education is really a challenge for us. I know I've talked to some people who used to be board members, and they say we'd maybe have one person in the audience who was watching what was going on. Like, most board meetings are supposed to be boring. These haven't been boring for 5. I would like them to be more boring. I would like there to be less things that don't necessarily need to be involved at the school board level. Get back to the 3 things we talked about. Budgets, the superintendent, and the curriculum. That's it. Everything else can be outside or on Facebook or wherever else you want to be.
All right, last question. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how you would vote.
This actually happened to me after the last meeting. I was approached by the mother of the student who was bullied at the school. And she was asking me what I thought of the situation and whether or not they should release the video. And I had a really hard time because it was right around the same time that I found out I was a finalist for this position, in fact. So the first thing I did was to figure out, does this person actually want action or do they just want to be heard? And it took me a lot of rounds of probing questions to be like, what have you done so far? Who have you talked to? Who have you spoken with? To get to that point. And then I realized that she was actually looking for action that has not been made yet. So after I'm done being a finalist, I would really like to know what action has been taken place. But I also want, as I kind of thought about it from the perspective of what I would do as a school board member, we also have to look at the responsibility of this board to keep our reputation intact. And what would releasing that video do to our reputation versus the accountability that it would provide? Is there one right answer or the other? I don't know. There's a lot of things that need to be weighed, and I don't pretend to know that I have all the information. And that's the other part of it, too, is I think as board members, we have to be comfortable saying, I don't know that offhand, but I'll find out and get back to you. In this situation, I don't know what the right answer is. I would really like to know because I care very deeply about that family. They're Cummings parents like myself. Their sons are friends of my son, but that's an issue where I would like to the board, that's a recent decision that I would like the board to weigh in on. And I may or may not disagree with that because I don't have all the information.
All right, thank you.
Great. Is that it? Wonderful. Thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, Jackie.
Okay, so about 10 minutes in.
Okay.
12.
She does this. She is
You don't want to go to Arizona.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's what we're gonna do, is maybe, fly in. My wife has it all planned out, I should look on my phone. But, we'd like to fly in one spot, make our way down, and fly out another spot. So I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's down there, right? But she's got it all planned out.
Tucson's the furthest from the south.
Tucson's pretty much south, okay. Maybe just flying to Tucson, then maybe fair way to Phoenix maybe, and fly in, something like that. But there seems like a lot to do, a lot of hikes and a lot of places, and that really seems to, I mean, I will say, right, doing Zion, right, and then doing Bryce, and then doing, that war, that was pretty tough after a while. Jeez, so, but I don't think Arizona is as tough as some of those steep elevation climbing.
It's not as high elevation.
That you get like in those big areas like Bryce and Zion.
That's what I want to. That's why I want to go to Arizona, is just because I think my parents, like, they varied where they went after my dad retired. And my dad likes Arizona the best, and my mom likes North Carolina the best. So they kind of go to North Carolina more.
Yeah.
But I'd like to go see what it's like.
Sedona, the Sedona wind caves are amazing too.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time out there because my mom and dad they were one of those park unit communities. That sounds like a trailer park, but it's like you go in there, it's like the Taj Mahal, it's crazy. They had 2 golf courses inside this community. They had 24 pickleball courts. This is back in the early 2000s.
They're big in it already?
Yeah, and they had 2 restaurants and multiple things.
Pre-pickleball.
It was incredible. Yes, the wind caves are gorgeous.
No wonder you're so good at pickleball. You've been at it since the 2000s. Seriously.
It's fun.
Been to Arizona for, like, the Phoenix for work.
Okay.
Several times. It's just it's just hot. And I'll go to the airport, go to a warehouse, go to the hotel, go to a warehouse, back and forth, and then fly home. But that's how I've spent time in Arizona. Like Flagstaff, a friend of ours, I think it's Johnston. I don't know if you remember Van
Johnson.
Manen.
Yeah. Of Faith Heaven?
Yeah, when he graduated high school, he just went, didn't go to college and went on and worked at Flagstaff.
Oh, did he?
At this stuff there for like a year or two, and then he came back and went to college after that. I thought that was awesome. Flagstaff is kind of like pine trees and mountains.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, that's all the time.
Which one is he? Was he?
John's the oldest boy.
But was there? Because so he's the oldest boy, but
It was John and then Amy and then Aaron.
I love one of those, but.
so Amy. Okay, so because Amy I think was my age. So his mom, Kathy. Yeah. So Kathy and my mom worked together. They were both nurses down at Butterworth, and then they worked together doing teaching down at the. Well, for a while, they were doing like KCTC stuff down at they had rented some of the rooms down at the market downtown. So they actually were teaching classes to like medical assistant classes. Her and Kathy were so, my mom Kathy were so. But anyway.
Your house is kind of backed up to each other through the woods for long.
Well, not right. It's a ways to get to 8th Avenue. Come on now, that's a long ways.
I just think of like if you come off in Lake Michigan Drive, that's kind of about.
Right. But John, John's what? He's probably Chip's age, or maybe he's between Chip and because John's a little younger.
Wake up there, girl.
It's probably.
Huh? Wake up there.
Oh, he's just
I took a nap.
Yeah.
I bet you did. I know.
He's only a year. Maybe only 2 years.
This week has
It
been
was like Chip's age.
insane.
It could be.
Day
It's so
Because I thought
funny
Amy was my age.
I don't get sick
Yeah.
usually for games and stuff.
Yeah.
I was nauseous last night. Like, I don't even know.
Because what's their dad's
I
name?
just felt so.
Jerry.
And then the game ended
Jerry's
and we won,
come
and I
over.
was just fine.
Oh, God.
So I couldn't decide whether it was like tonight or if it was last night. Or if I had eaten properly. I don't know.
Yeah, he's still doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, today I ended up watching
I never
Andy
understood.
Mike's
And again, you probably
guys
know talk more about
because
that.
the
That
other
whole
grandma
split,
normally has it on
everything that happened
Thursday,
there, and
but
that whole-
her dad's having
My wife is working there then.
terrible heart issues down in Florida. So I got a call early this morning.
Yeah.
Can you watch
It was
the Dylan's gotta
Well, there was
go
like
to Florida, so.
Yeah. It does throw things off.
Oh, it does. I had some things I had to do today, but, oh well.
They weren't.
I just think about how lucky my son is because we had no one around us at all. So my parents lived, when we first had the boys, up until Walter was 5, they lived like 3 hours away.
They gave like the head of them, they gave authority to do stuff like that. So.
I couldn't drive him down there because Walter could not.
You know, that didn't go over very well.
No, this wasn't that.
We didn't even have babysitters because we were so poor, right? We had,
When you don't have like when Jerry Senior was
So
there,
there's just that, and so I'm
guy so
like,
he made the decisions.
he's lucky.
Yeah, right?
He's super lucky. And then people who have both sets of
that one right on the
grandparents,
corner.
oh my gosh.
So it's one in the corner, because I couldn't remember
I
if it
think
was that one or the one down in.
Bob's son has that too, right? Like we used to have both sets of grandparents around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was telling Sally that because Sabrina's in medical school and then we moved to.
My wife just got an invite in the
We
mail
just didn't have grandparents around.
yesterday for Amy's.
For
I
my
do
kids.
everything.
Yeah.
I have to pick up their dog every other day.
Divorced, right?
Consider the dog one of your grandchildren?
I used to. I don't anymore.
You got bumped up.
I don't anymore because she's a diva.
6 or 7 years.
She's a golden, so they need people.
She's a nurse too, right?
They're so loving.
But
See that video that?
she was my baby. But now
I didn't get a chance
she
to watch
wants
it.
my
it's-
grandson, like lay on her, like Vicky or Kaylee's parent. They have gold. And when he was a baby sleeping over there, the dog would never leave my grandson.
Yeah.
So wherever he went, that's where.
So cute.
And then my grandson would just lay on him and watch TV and stuff.
Yeah.
But Poppy doesn't. Poppy is a diva. She is in competition, and it drives me nuts.
That's so funny. Did you ever have that memory? I had, my grandparents had a dog. It was a dachshund. And it would protect us to no end and let us lay all over him.
No.
We had a Siamese cat the same.
No, we had
He just laid on a lot
we
of
had a
animals.
German Shepherd that bit me once. In ours,
Shepherds do that.
but none of my. I only knew one grandparent. All my other ones were deceased by the time I was born. So.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, it's and
So you still just have one grandson?
they're expecting.
That's what I thought. That's exciting.
If I only had one child, I could have children. So for me, I'd rather they keep popping.
Yeah.
Choice gonna change
And I know
a
I
lot.
would have, amazing how, because I had shingles.
Yeah.
It's like that first getting to know one, which is so fun, but also kind of that. It's just so different. And trying to.
I got, you know, my doctor recommended it, so I wouldn't have thought of it. Heather did not, so she was here.
Do they know if they're having a boy or girl?
You don't think it's gonna go.
I think it's gonna be a
places.
girl. Because she's
No, I had somebody that
so
got
much
it
brains. She had a
in
terrible
here,
prime
I
minister.
mean,
I think
yeah.
it's gonna be a girl. Completely
I
opposite.
just had a general doctor not too long ago, and because I've been hearing the commercials
But
about kids,
lots of
and my doctor said,
my wife is his
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah.
When it comes
Well,
to
see,
playing,
if you get, Shingrix
So,
is a double shot.
no matter what I'm doing, and I'll give them shit, they all yell at me, and I don't care. I get yelled at all the time. Why are you giving that?
Yeah, I am not, no way.
Because I'm his grandfather?
I know, that was awesome.
Oh yeah, he's,
That's the bonus. Then you get to give them back.
I get yelled at all the time. Every day. He's around us. Last week we had him 6 days. I got to see him for 6 days.
Do you help the captains just because they went on a...
No. They just needed him. Either she was working, John was
so
playing
during
ball,
the day.
she's a ref.
Yeah.
And my oldest granddaughter just got
Just
excited.
happened.
Really excited to be able to do the environmental
Right,
law
so,
program.
you know, I had to step down.
Really?
My job.
Oh my gosh, good for her.
I still have this sophomore who's the busiest human on the face of the planet. Thank goodness he just started driving, but Yeah, I mean,
Now, she went to Kettle Hills, right?
right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so nice to be able to help with the grandkids. You know,
It's cool.
They're lucky. They're lucky.
My son can't believe the kind of person I am. He's like, you're never like that with me. I go, well, yeah, I was.
We just
It's just
had,
that when you started
meeting
growing up,
with her
you
mom.
needed more
We got her
control.
lot.
I said, and he will too.
The next one down, Jack, he's in 7th grade. He is so big into like the current kids slang stuff. Oh my gosh. And he just got the biggest kick out of it. I don't know what it means, but I am now Grandma John. Whatever that means. I've been looking it up, I can't find it. Jack, I will find this out.
It's great.
Grandma John.
Grandma John.
All right.
We're in the Disney movies, he and I.
And if something's
Kaylee hates it.
wearing something really good, you're dripping.
Oh, yeah, I heard that one. Yeah, yeah.
Trippy.
Not about me, but I've heard it.
I just took my granddaughter to
No,
too.
but he doesn't want to do that yet, so he watches the same thing over and over again.
I challenge him. I
So
said,
he does.
entire sentence with all the terms that you think are cool. I thought he was 1 year. Because
Just
my
turned 2.
granddaughter's 5. Oh, so he's more like my second grade.
But yeah, Kaylee is always, she's trying to
Yeah, so have you ever seen this?
like he doesn't touch an iPad, which I think
Yeah,
is smart.
that's what my wife did this whole thing. Yeah, so it's flying in
Whenever
Tucson.
Rick is near,
Yeah, just, it's so cool because you can
like
like
for me, I have
label all
I have
the different
this.
things you want to go do.
It's not an iPhone. So he'll look at me like, okay, you gonna do videos? And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. But Vic, she'll do funny videos with him for a little bit. But
Trippers, is it a free app or you got to pay for it?
She usually doesn't pay for stuff.
Especially right
Can't
now.
believe
How cheap, but that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it is really just.
I always just search like what to do in this area and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she still did a decent amount of that, but then she just uses this to start placing it out, and then you can look at it on the map.
We have those new
now
radios.
You start, figuring out where you want to go and when.
they had radio
But
sort
yeah,
of
there's
like
so much.
this in the early
There's
2000s.
so much to see.
Now it's
And there's such a variety
substitutes
too,
for- substitutes for.
And that's the thing,
It's a
that
radio.
I'll never get. I mean, the
Goes
variety
off
of
LTE.
Anywhere in
photography
the
between
Oh, no,
even,
not Alexa.
well, when we went
No,
to,
it's a
kind of
radio.
away from Vegas to
Oh, like
a
Zion.
walkie-talkie.
We stopped at that, I can't remember, it was like
And they're
Red
very
something,
cool.
Red
And they're
Stone,
very
Red
cool.
Rock.
Oh, Red Rock,
I don't know if it's Red Rock, but I thought it was like a color sunset, but it's State Park. But it's where they
It
shot
might
a lot
just
of the
have
first
channels.
Star Wars desert scenes.
doesn't.
And it's got these rocks that are like,
People are giving those to the kids.
So nice job.
and you can even find like the what do you call it, the hieroglyphics, but where the Indians painted on the rock walls, where they
If
spat on
the test scores decrease,
see something that looks like a buffalo.
4 minutes and we'll get started.
Okay,
And
sounds
then if the last, we'll keep doing that. If the last one gets here early, the last two. No, but well, next one we'll do the same one, but then the last one, if that person gets
It's
here.
in Colorado? Okay.
So Amy's next.
Southwest
Next is, oh yeah, I'm sorry, it is 80. Yep.
It's Amy? Yeah.
So we have
Yeah.
2 more. So,
Yeah. Amazing.
so we'll do this one in a
And they
few
did
minutes.
some cowboy was rustling up his cows along this
Kate, I
big
think,
gorge, and all of a sudden looked out and Kate was snowstorm
Yep,
spotted
that-
formations, and after the weather cleared, they
John's
went back
keeping
and they
us in
found
line, or he's
remnants
got it
of
figured out
these,
too.
John's got it.
caves that
He's got it. He knows.
had Anasazi had actually carved out of sandstone.
That's right.
That's amazing. You can climb up the ladders and stuff and go to the.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that far.
Interesting stuff.
That's OCDHR.
Yeah. Well noted.
Hey, I see somebody took the water.
Yes, one person did.
Okay.
Just one.
That's okay.
Are you
I'm telling
tracking
you,
that, Roger?
Jackie.
Well, no, yes.
She needed the water to be able to do it.
I know, she was like speed talking. She's fast.
I know, I was like, wow.
Very thorough, but very fast. I wonder if she reads the same way.
2-minute warning.
2-minute warning.
We're almost there. This one was if we had a tie, so we won't be using this all next hour. But this would be what we would use to make an official.
Okay,
And,
got it.
you know,
Yep.
and if we said we do it once and we're done, good. If we do it however many times, use the same.
Got it.
Can I share a joy? So my husband's up at our cottage thinking that we were gonna have our whole septic line replaced.
Oh.
And we don't.
Oh, good. That's good.
It was just a little root.
Oh, my gosh.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome. Amy, thanks so much for being here tonight. We appreciate you going through this application process and now being here for the interview. We have a number of questions that we'll be asking you here this evening, and we'll try to do this little talking so you can use the time as you'd like to answer, okay? And I
Great.
get to start. So, Amy, the first question is, tell us about you and why you are interested in serving on the school board.
Yeah, so I have been interested in schools and education since I was in high school. I started out being a teacher's aide in a classroom for kids with more significant disabilities down in Berrien County. I was a Grand Valley student. I thought I wanted to be a teacher, but it wasn't the fit. I discovered the field of school psychology. It worked really well. I was interested. I ended up doing my doctoral work in school psychology. Came back to Grand Valley because they happened to have a position that was perfect. So I have been invested in education, particularly how we support kids who have learning challenges for probably the past 30 years. So right now, I'm currently a professor at Grand Valley. I am in the graduate program in school psychology. So I spend a lot of time training future school psychologists. I also work with our state board, which is just the Michigan Association of School Psychologists. What we do is we advocate for kids, we advocate for our profession. So I've been able to do some really exciting things, working on legislation, working on developing an apprenticeship program for some of our rural districts that don't have access to school psychologists. So I'm really passionate about public schools. I saw that this came open and I thought that it would be a good fit and something that I would be excited to do.
Thank you.
All right. Next question. What do you see as the role of a school board member?
Well, the school board, I think, is an interesting role because you are elected, or in this case, appointed or voted in, but really there's a couple of parts. One, you need to develop policies and approve policies that are in line with state and federal laws. I think that's incredibly important because you don't want to put the district at risk for lawsuits, for potential problems. So one, you have to understand federal, state laws, make sure your policies are aligned. You also need to make sure that your district is making good personnel hiring decisions. I think hiring a superintendent is an incredibly important job, and when that comes up, it takes some time, and you have to be very careful and considerate about that position. And also, I think the school board, in a more informal way, is a good way to get just the pulse of the community that the school district serves. Every community has a wide range of individuals living in it, and I think on the school board, hopefully those voices represent all of the different people that are on kind of living in that community.
Good, thank you. At times you may be caught between legitimately opposing viewpoints. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you're required to uphold. How will you handle this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one, I feel very strongly that you do have to follow federal and state law. It's taxpayers' money that goes to cover attorneys' fees for lawsuits. So I do think it's your responsibility that even if you disagree with a law or you disagree with a position, you really have to kind of follow through with that. The other thing with that, like how do you handle that? I tend to, in my role as on the board for the Michigan Association, I've been in several situations when we have had very differing views on legislation, on statements, on various things that the board work. So in my leadership role, one of the things I really tried to do was listen calmly to all parties and make sure that any decisions that were being made reflected what the board wanted as a whole, as opposed to my personal position.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skills in communication and decision-making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team?
Yeah, I believe in very open and transparent discussions. I am one where I really appreciate when people are very straightforward and honest about their opinions. I think it's absolutely okay that people have different opinions and different, ideas around what they think should work. I think that actually creates a very, very healthy board. I've done work like that in the past. One of the things that we've worked a lot on was the dyslexia legislation that was recently passed. So I sort of, as a leader in the organization, I worked with several parent groups who were really needing more intervention services for their kids in schools. So I worked with them and we tried to figure out something that would work to meet those families' needs. At the same time, we worked really closely with our Michigan Association of Superintendents, their association leaders, also with the school boards, with sort of the ISD leaders, because they had had to understand, well, how is this actually going to work? So it was really, I was able to serve sort of as that person in the middle to say, where can we come up with a legislative package where everybody would be happy with it?
Our district focus areas, there's 2 of them, ensuring each student reaches his or her full academic potential, and every student who comes through our doors feels safe, has a sense of belonging, and has the support systems in place to reach their full potential. So it's a 2-part question based on that. What does every student reaching their full academic potential mean to you?
That's a really good question. So I believe very strongly in effective evidence-based instruction for all of our students. I think students reaching their full academic potential is that the district is able to deliver an instructional package, whether that's reading, math, science, social studies, art, physical education, where we know we're doing everything we can to get that kid to where they need to be. It doesn't mean that we have to design a system where every kid goes to college. It also means we design systems for kids who want to pursue the trades. My younger brother did a trades program, a building trades program in high school, and went right into the trades, and he is doing very well right now, probably better than me, who has a lot of college education. So I think that's important. I think that, really working to figure out that evidence-based instruction and how do we ensure that our teachers have what they need to deliver that. In terms of feeling safe and welcome in schools, I think, it's really tough when you are in a very large district. Kids, I think my middle daughter is actually at Oakstown right now, and so she went from a tiny little elementary to, oh my gosh, there's 400 kids here. And how do you make sure that kids feel safe and comfortable and respected one of the things that I like is that the adults in the building all develop personal relationships with kids. You know, she doesn't know all of the adults, but she definitely has staff that she feels comfortable with, that she knows that are looking out for her. So I think what's important about helping kids feel safe and comfortable in schools, it's one, making sure that our teachers, our staff, our bus drivers are able to make kids feel comfortable and safe. Also, I'm a big believer in structure in schools. I think predictability in structure is something that benefits all kids. You know, I know exactly what happens when my kids go into school. The visitors check-in system, you know, that is aligned with what we know is safe for school districts. And so I think it's looking at all of those together.
So you've partially answered this, but maybe you want to provide more details. So the second part of the question is, how does a student know that he or she belongs?
That's a really good question, and that's hard. How do you
touched
know?
on it a little bit.
Yeah, so I would say, how do you know you belong? I think it's when a student can go to school and feel comfortable and feel safe. It's not, you know, not every day is going to be a good day for kids. Having two girls at the, you know, middle school ages, I know there's lots of days that are a little bit rougher, and that's okay. But it's knowing that if I go to school, right, if something happens, it's that feeling they have sort of going to school. And for me, as a parent, it's that feeling of knowing my kids are safe and not having to worry about their safety, about their education in schools. And if I do have a worry, I can always talk to a teacher.
Next question, why should you be the person selected to fill this vacant board position?
So when I looked at this position, I realized that there's not much left in the term. And there's also a lot of information that you have to know and understand to be a board member. Understanding simply board, you know, school board bylaws, understanding Robert's Rules of Order. I have a pretty good working understanding of how a board functions. So I felt like I could step into this role pretty quickly and get up to speed on the requirements. The other thing that I feel I can bring to this board is because I do have kids in elementary school, and I also have quite a bit just through my training of background knowledge on curriculum and instruction. One of the things that I have heard people talk about are, you know, well, what about test scores? How are our test scores? What do they look like? And I think that's really important, but I think my perspective on curriculum and instruction and what works for all kids can add maybe a little bit of a different voice or just something new to the board.
Great. The next one is, what are the successes within our school district and what are the challenges that you see?
So some successes, one thing that, and this is something that I have noticed, is I think you have done a really nice job with prioritizing certain personnel hiring. So for example, you employ 2 board certified behavior analysts or BCBAs to help teachers and help kids with autism. That is something that not all districts do, but I think it was very smart in helping both teachers who are in special education, but also our general education teachers. I think your personnel decisions have been smart. They've made this district a positive place to work. If teachers are not happy in their position, no matter what curriculum you have, right, it's going to be rough. And I think it's really clear that the teachers and staff are happy and feel supported, and I think that's a great success. I also think one of the
things that has gone really well is your implementation of multi-tiered systems of support over time. You do a lot to support kids very early on who present challenges in reading, and that is a game changer for a lot of those families. And so I think that's actually quite successful. One of the challenges, I think, right now is the idea that, you know, there are so many different needs that kids have. We're having kids coming in not only with academic challenges, with some social behavior challenges, some mental health challenges. And I think sometimes what can happen is you're trying to do so many different things that it's really hard to, you know, pause and say, wait a minute, what are we doing? And is it actually working? And so I think that's a challenge when you have a larger district, when you have all these things happening, to be able to systematically evaluate practices and policies and whether or not those are working in the district.
All right, last question. It's a long question, but I'll read it. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
Yeah, so one, I do think, you know, I generally hold the firm belief that state and federal law tends to trump personal beliefs. And, you know, not everybody is happy about certain changes in laws, but it is, I believe, your responsibility as a board member to make sure that the school is in good standing with state and federal law. A recent decision from the board, I'm trying to think of something, well, I mean, I think one example, because I know there's a variety of perspectives, was the revisions with Title IX. So there was a whole slew of revisions, and I think it made it really difficult for districts to know what to do, because it's, here's this, so you have to do this, but now we're taking it away. But what I did notice was the board, right? And though not everybody agreed, I do think the board said, okay, we will approve this package under this current law. But when that changed, because that group of revisions was rescinded, right, the board then adopted sort of, which were basically the older standard, or the older Title IX law from 2020, I believe. I think the board was able to switch and say, okay, this is sort of where we have to go now. And I think it's important that both sort of, even though they were different, the board was able to say we have to follow sort of state and federal law, and we were able to make that change.
All right. That was the last question.
That was it.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
I'll be in touch. So for the next one, as soon as that person gets here and has a chance to breathe and is good to go, we get started. So
Sure.
if that's early, it's
Sounds
early.
good.
Because then it gives us.
Jason hasn't eaten yet.
Yes. Okay. You have
Mount on my mitts.
You have that. You bet.
Have gum if you want.
But we're on the last one, that's amazing. Oh, okay.
Are you guys going early and going to Schubert's?
I think we're gonna go get, yeah, I can't remember, so you know we're gonna meet, do you remember, I don't know if you remember the Fitzpatrick family? Yeah, so we're gonna, he's gonna be there, and Joanna, the Willoughbys wanna go watch the game, so we're all gonna have lunch and then go to the game, and, yeah, cause we wanna go watch,
A lot of hockey people hang out at Schubert's before they go, from experiences of when they've played at fairs.
Yeah.
Josh and I, Josh went to fairs, so that's
Fun.
favorite place in Big Rapids. But what was funny, because I took him to hockey once, not knowing you know, like one of my first times that we were up there, and he's like, "You want to go to Schubert's?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go. We got time." So we walk in, and there's all these wow, awesome. So all the families were sitting there eating. I felt like I was like, "Wait a minute, maybe that's great."
Was that when David went?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, he's like,
I just remember being in such a tall building.
he's going to
Tall and long, because I remember like we got on the buses right out here.
So he's gonna go watch David Senior at Senior.
Looking up.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Well, it was so,
I'm sure
it's relatively close to the
he actually
school,
saw
so.
this.
It all starts somewhere.
Yeah.
It's such a great team, and
This
that's
is where my parents went to high school.
High school.
yeah. No, I mean we got we're all.
I love Grandville.
Yeah.
That's why I was so glad I was there.
Coach too much.
Because it just,
Do what you need to do.
it was so nice because like I was in charge of the science department, so when we
Speech
wanted to
thing.
coordinate our curriculum, it was so easy to do. All the
Tell us
sixth
you need
grade
some
right there.
science
You
teachers were
would,
right
you
there.
could
Coordinate
step
the
in and be
labs.
like, all right, boys.
So that's
That
what
would be
really
so
Used to.
cool. Oh my gosh, Roger. I'm not kidding, I'm gonna talk to Pratt.
The only thing that my grandson who's there, he went from fourth grade to Oakstown, having 2 to 3 recess times a day to like eat lunch for 10, 15 minutes and then go outside and play for 15 minutes. And he does not like that.
No.
Yeah, that's been a hard adjustment.
Yeah, I can see that, because recess in 7th and 6th grade was
A big deal.
a big deal.
Yeah.
A lot of kickball,
Yeah.
dodgeball.
Yeah, I think especially, I hate not to be sexist, but I think especially for boys, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They got a lot. They got
Jackpot, man. You gotta play jackpot.
Jackpot, I owe that one.
The football?
What's that?
Catch it.
Oh, you have to catch it.
yeah,
and
$5
Whoever
or-
throws it out says the point value.
Yeah, okay, got it. Yep.
I just remember sometimes coming in just being covered in mud, so like play football or something.
Yeah.
It's like, why did I do that? I just
Yep, I remember those days.
soaking wet, covered in mud.
Soaking wet, yep. You're like, what? Now I got to sit here for another couple hours.
Yep. Oh my goodness.
Okay, 5 minutes.
She's here.
So,
Must be ready. Maybe.
I think it's at 5 minutes.
Do you know when the game starts on Saturday, the hockey game up at Gunther? Bob's gonna go over because our cottage is just a little bit northwest of there. And I'm gonna go up there and see.
Oh, nice.
Who do they play at? I haven't even seen. I saw it pop up that it was up Paris, but I didn't see who they
Is it
were.
Traverse City? Play Traverse City, Navy Reference?
Let me see.
I thought that's what the email said from Charlie.
When they made the Final Four, I went down to, I'll just say Detroit area, wherever that was, a few years back and watched them. That was, I think they played DCC then, Detroit Catholic Central.
Game is at 1 on Saturday.
One thing, so.
There's Traverse City Central.
Yep.
They played them already.
It's nice of
Say it
you.
again, I'm sorry?
I wonder if they played them already, because I know they go up north and play.
Yeah, they do that trip, right? Yeah. But that one, well, I'm trying to think, maybe that might because they go way north. Don't they go to northern? They go northern.
They've gone to northern Michigan. They've gone all the way to like Farragut before, like Michigan Tech area.
Oh, really?
It's like a few years back. Somebody that we knew was on the team, and they went all the way to with the Pullmans, like Andrew Pullman. I don't.
Name sounds right. Yeah.
He played baseball.
Okay.
And hockey. He was on the baseball team, but they
went all the way to Michigan Tech.
went all the way to Michigan Tech.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember. Yeah, the team they played this last year up in Northern. I want to say it was like a juniors team or something. I don't even think it was a high school team. Yeah. But because I remember seeing the name, but it was like the Grandville or something like that. With that guy.
I kind of wish, I kind of wish these questions that were, you know, giving a score to, or if you are, matched up a little bit more with some of the questions that we ask, because some of these don't, you know, aren't conducive to using that as a valuable tool.
I'm just taking notes on
Yeah, I
the
am
question
too,
sheet.
but,
I wasn't
yeah.
necessarily going to use the other sheet. So.
I I did give like I made my own little rubric from their
I was ready.
resumes and gave you the right value, and so I'm kind of taking the average of them too. You guys like reading historical nonfiction stuff? I just
Sorry.
read Grandville and the White City by Eric Larson. It's so cool because what he does is he tells the story of a serial killer that was in Chicago at the same time that all the major architects of the world were brought in to create within a very short amount of time the Chicago World Fair. And so
Adam's
he
going.
juxtaposes those two incredible things that happen at the same time, and it's such an interesting.
This was all,
If that's your thing, that is a
it was
great.
everywhere.
And I knew it would be.
Sounds like my kids love history.
They might like that.
Disruption.
They might like that a lot.
So I wish that they used to, I don't know, the phones have ruined them, but
Yeah.
when my kids would read nonstop, whenever they had a minute, they would read. And then now they don't read nearly as much as they used to. They like look at their phones. I was talking with the younger one about that the other day.
Hello.
He couldn't deny it.
Hi, Kate?
Yes.
Kate. Hi, Kate.
I'm gonna come shake all your hands, but I'm on the end of the pole.
No, that's okay then. You just stay right there. Thanks so much for going through this whole process with us of applying and now coming for this interview this evening. We have a number of questions that we're going to ask you, and we'll take turns doing that, but we're going to try to give you as much time as you need to answer them as in the way that you would want to, okay?
Awesome.
And I get to start. So, the first question is, tell us about you and why you are interested in serving on the school board.
So I'm Kate Oster. I am a Century Park parent to a third grader who is loving her time there, and we are loving the district and are so thankful for the supports that are here. I am a public school graduate myself. I grew up in the Chicago area, so K-12, really before K-12. My mom was a teacher, and so I grew up in the classroom, so this is definitely part of, my heart is that public education piece. Professionally, I am a teacher by trade and now a behavior specialist for the Ottawa ISD. And so being able to bring some of that knowledge to this group as well is something that I think I can offer. And some of those problem-solving pieces that come with it, and just really thinking about more than just our academics, but how do we really encompass the whole child? Because we have such a unique group of learners that are coming to us at this time, that to be able to support them as a whole child is really important to me.
All right, thank you. The next question, what do you see as the role of a school board member?
Someone to support the staff. We have fantastic teachers here, and they have fantastic knowledge and expertise that they're bringing in as that school board member, being able to come and say, yes, this sounds like you're really on a great track, ask some questions, and then be that validation to say you are doing really great work, and how can we continue to support you in what you're doing.
All right.
At times, you may be caught between legitimately opposing viewpoints. There may be a difference between your personal point of view and the policy or law that you are required to uphold. How will you handle this?
The law, it will be where that line has to be, and as much as we can try to put our own lens on that, but at the same time, at the end of the day, we do need to follow what the law is asking us do in the spirit of it, with some questions to ensure that we fully understand what we're agreeing to.
Working effectively with other school board members and the superintendent requires skills in communication and decision-making. How do you see yourself working with other members of the leadership team?
I love to collaborate. I love to be able to pause and listen to different viewpoints, and then as a team sit down and pull that information together to think about how do we come to the best outcome for our kids. And I love that the strategic plan and the mission is right on the wall, because that should be what guides that teamwork along the way.
Our district focus areas are, and there's 2 of them, ensuring each student reaches his or her full academic potential, and every student who comes through our doors feels safe, has a sense of belonging, and has the support systems in place to reach their full potential. So, it's a 2-part question. That's just the intro.
Okay.
What does every student reaching their full academic potential mean to you?
When you think of the wide range of learners and the different, what we might perceive as their potential, really thinking about what are the goals of those students and how do we help them plan to get to reach those goals. And so whether that is a college-bound goal, or if that is thinking about a career-bound goal, or if that goal looks like I want to serve my community in X, Y, or Z way, how do we ensure that we are providing instruction that allows them to do that?
So the second part, how does a student know that he or she belongs?
You were asking my favorite question. I feel like belonging is something that I have been really working towards as a professional, thinking about how do we create that culture of belonging for our students, and as a parent of a neuro-sparkly, sometimes we like to refer to her child, thinking about how do we create that culture where everyone feels like they are able to come into a room and have something to give to the community. I think part of that belonging is having something to share out with others, but then also how are we accepted for who we are within that belonging. And then as adults, as we are supporting and building that community, how are we modeling that for our students and intentionally building in opportunities for them to be welcomed and included and have those opportunities to give back.
Okay.
Why should you be the person selected to fill the vacant board position?
That's a really great question. I come to here hoping to join you all, knowing that I have some of that professional background knowledge that I'm able to share with you all in terms of school, and already dipping my toes into what are those legal aspects of what we as a school district are obligated to provide for students. I come with that parent perspective of having a younger child. I have the pleasure and opportunity to sit on the building implementation team for the PBIS at Century Park, and so being really intimately involved with that and watching how the building staff is growing and supporting their students. Yeah, just some unique perspectives that as a parent of a younger child, I might be able to share, knowing that many of you have older children who have either been completely through, or are still making their way through, but more on that secondary end.
Okay, the next question is, what are the successes that you see within our school district and the challenges?
Successes. I do love seeing the inclusion. We got the opportunity to attend Victory Day in the fall. It was really nice to see the community wrapping around some learners who might not always have that opportunity to enjoy that type of opportunity. And just see all of the great things coming out of the music and the drama. You hear about the sports. And then thinking about the academics, we chose Grandville purposely 12 years ago when we bought our house, knowing that this was a district that was growing strong academic learners, but also growing good people. And that is something that we really value about the district. Challenges. I think as a culture right now, we have growing pains just around lots of cultural pieces and thinking about how do we continue to grow good learners and good humans who are able to disagree respectfully with one another and really think about how do we problem solve together. And I don't think that's necessarily unique to Grandville, and it's definitely a unique challenge that we'll have together.
All right, last question. It's a long one, but the last one. Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how you would vote on the issue.
Thinking about things, I guess I don't have a very specific one, but it might be a little bit further back than you're thinking. I am a strong proponent that we should consider how to grow the social emotional learning of all of our students and thinking about how do we best prepare them and how do we do that and what does that curriculum look like and how do we support teachers in doing that. And I know that as a board there are some very different feelings around some of those terms and what that looks like, and so how to balance that and to think about the law. It's a lot of listening, and I don't think I'm answering your question. Will you ask that again?
All right, I'll read it again.
I'm meandering.
It says, identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, state and federal law, staff considerations, your personal values and beliefs on how to determine how you would vote.
It would be gathering that community voice, I think, is the biggest piece around understanding how the spectrum of individuals feel, and not just one or two voices, but really looking at that continuum of how we as a community want our learners to grow and what direction we want them to go in. And if it does not align with my personal belief, but that is fitting what the community as a whole is indicating, then I'm okay going that way. We're a public school, and we do need to follow the law and ensure that that's what we're doing. And I have that right then as a parent when we come home to have some different conversations around what that might look like. But I do think as a public school district, we do have a right to ensure that all of those voices are heard and validated. Does that answer that for you?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate, I'll be in touch, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so that concludes our interviews. Do you want to take a few minutes? Are you good? What's the pulse here? Do you need a few minutes or not?
Just maybe one or two, not a lot. I just want to compile something.
Okay.
Like that.
let me know when you're ready and we'll get started. Ready.
That was quick.
Everybody good? Okay, so just to reiterate that part of the process, each board member will select a top choice to begin the dialogue. Once the top choices are selected, the board will determine who a roll call vote should be taken for. If 4 votes are secured, that person will be our new member. If the person does not secure 4 votes from this board, then we move on to another candidate at that time. If no one secures the needed 4 votes, then we'll have to determine where to go from there. Okay, everybody got that? Okay, so why don't we start with Sally?
Okay. I felt, based on vetting her, her resume and then listening, and it was, to me, crystal clear, her understanding of what a board does and what it faces in terms of the overall structure of how school financing works, legislation, and everything. That Amy Campbell is my top choice.
Okay. Joe?
Well, I believe Mary Gunther answered questions better than any of the other candidates. She provides a different expertise than anyone else that was here. She campaigned in the past. She's reached out to me as a board member to ask my thoughts about her on the board, and none of the other ones have. She has young children in the district, and she indicated that she's willing to campaign again, to ensure 15 to 20 years as a school board member. So, Mary Gunther.
Amy?
I too feel like I'm really impressed with everything Amy knows. It almost feels like she would be able to walk in, do whatever the board needs. She's been on several boards. 17 years in this profession for her, being able to work. I'm very impressed with the legislative aspect of everything going on. I think that just everything I wrote down was amazing when it comes to, very public schools, understands the state with, she's straight, I just love all of this, all of her straightforward talks with people on legislation. She's worked across the board on dyslexia, on all these things. If you look at her resume, she's won grants for, $967,000 and, like $2 million grants, and she has publications, and I'm just very impressed with her overall ability to lead boards. And she was a Girl Scout troop leader. That's kind of fun. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff on here that I'm extremely impressed with Amy. So, yep.
Brett?
I would say Mary Gunther. I appreciated how she answered the questions. She's run for the board previously, and yes, that's why.
Bob?
Mary Gunther. I think she brings a skill set that is missing on the board, which a good board has a diversity of skill sets. I think she's a collaborator. She's been on many boards. She has got her own company that is growing dramatically with social media, which, at some point, we're probably going to have curriculum in social media to a very higher degree because our kids are learning at such a fast pace and the technology is there. And AI. And, she ran for the board. And there may be other board members that discredit that as a qualifier, but it takes a lot to put yourself out there, and you two know it, especially with regard to being under a microscope, whether the opinions are valid or invalid. And she has been harassed just for applying again, which has any other applicant that we know of had that experience? I'm going to say, tell me if there has, because I haven't seen it, I haven't heard it. I think she presented herself in an incredible way today. Others did as well. I'm not going to deny that. But Mary, by far, I'm going to say she's the top of the class of the applicants that we have in front of us.
Jason?
Yeah, my top choice, I think we've got, first off, just thank everybody for applying. Right? I think, it takes a lot, right, to do this and come here and go through the interview process. It's not easy when you're interviewing. And I think it really is great to see this amount of enthusiasm for the field board. So all that aside, kind of torn, but my top candidate is Amy Campbell. I think when you look at, in my view, where our kids, I'm going to say the greatest threat, the biggest struggle they have is in the area of bullying, is in the area of, when we look at, all the challenges they have facing them, right? I mean, they struggle. I mean, I appreciate Jackie's words, right? I mean, talking about her son, where she said, hey, listen, my son's involved in a lot of things, got a great group of friends, yada, 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 but he still feels alone. And I think having someone with the experience in school psychology specifically, right, can help us as a board make sure as we're looking at different groups and approving different things, that we're taking that into consideration and making sure that that mental health aspect of our kids is paramount. So, so my top choice is Amy.
Okay, so as we tally these, as I'm sure you can tell, you have two top candidates at this point, both with 3 first-place votes. And where we go from here is now in your court. I've facilitated to this point. As we'd mentioned before, you can have further dialogue. You have 2 people tied, so if you're going to vote, I would suggest that maybe we do something that's, who decides who's going first in voting, and see if we get to that person, and we could proceed from there. But I'm just gonna let you talk, and see where you want to go.
I guess I would like to know what process did all of us use in order to come up with any kind of value, whether it's points or whatnot, something that's more objective in making your determination. I'll tell you my process. I took the form that Roger gave us at our last meeting, and I went through every single one of our 19 candidates that we were given, and I gave them a point value based on the rubric, so to speak, a very informal one that we were given. And I listed those people in that order. I did that independently. I think, Roger, you've seen all the scores. My list was different than I'm sure anybody else's. And I don't know if that's true of everybody else. I have not seen the votes, but that's how I approached it, as objectively as I possibly can. And then tonight, as the interviewees went through and answered theirs, I gave them another point value, again, based on the rubric that you gave us. And then I took the 2 scores and I averaged them, because I feel that that is as fair and as objective as a way that I can approach this as possible. And that is how I came up with the person that I chose. And I would guess I'd like to know, outside of the subjective things that keep being brought up about various people, how is it that you're giving a point and value to these 2 candidates?
I think an individual board member's assessment is based on their experiences in life and past experience on this board. So I think that's completely subjective.
Exactly. But isn't there a way when I'm a teacher in a classroom, I might have a really big problem with a kid who's going up to do a project, but you know what? I've got to put that aside. I've got to evaluate what that child does as fairly as I possibly can, objectively. That is what we're called to do, is to be as objective as we possibly can in this decision.
I already gave you my qualifiers for how I came to my decision.
And I didn't hear a lot of objective comments there, Bob, I have to admit.
That's fine. This is how I came to my decision.
Okay, thank you.
If we had decided as a board to do a point system, we never did, and we probably never would have come to a decision. This is a subjective decision. And I'm still going to hold to the number 1 qualifier from my perspective is Mary put herself out there. And if you're going to put a qualifier in there, that's got to be very high.
Then where did you put Trent Taylor?
Trent is not one of the 6.
But I think
why is that even a consideration in this discussion? That is invalid.
That's your perspective. It is not invalid to me.
I'm glad you allow me to have my perspective.
I've never said you can't. I'm just asking
Trent is
for the
irrelevant
process.
in this discussion.
I think it's relevant because it was part of the criteria you laid out in the last meeting. And so I think what Sally's asking is just for some consistency and understanding, how is it ranked over time, right? Was it part of the criteria in that ranking, and then then not, and then it is again, or not? So I think that's where the validity of the question comes from. Because then it becomes, okay, it just goes right back to being subjective and not objective. Because if you're saying objectively, this person ran for the school board, so they should get extra points and should be at the top of the list. But then when you have the entire list, which you again introduced it for that portion of the decision-making process, it didn't match up. So I think that's where, again, you may think that is objective in your decision-making process, but it's really subjective because it really depends upon what your feelings are of the person, because it really doesn't be that top criteria as you just stated it.
Let me restate how this whole situation came to be. And I believe it was Sally. We were going to go for the top few. She wanted all 19. We agreed on all 19. That's how that occurred. That wasn't me. I agreed to that situation.
No, but I think the criteria you laid out is what we're talking about. Because it's one of the criteria
I already
you laid
did,
out.
but Trent is not in the top 6. If he had been in the top 6, maybe I would have given that extra credit. But Trent is not in the top 6.
No.
So why can't you move forward, and why are you stuck in the past?
So,
This is a process that has to progress.
So, perfect question. So I think from my perspective, to your point about, hey, ran for the board, right? And I think the public has spoken, right, in the last election, resoundingly, right, about whether that person belongs on the board. I would say for her, hey, more power to you, run again. And I don't think we should be subverting what the public just decided 4 months ago. I think we should look for new, fresh ideas because the public said no to that point of view already. So that's where I come. That's my viewpoint on that.
I'm being completely subjective with that argument right now.
The vote's subjective?
Yeah. How do you know?
Because
she had over 7,000 votes.
And that
You're
lost.
just counting
That lost by
those
2,000 votes.
You know what? Congratulations to you both.
Okay.
But do not discount someone who has the gumption, the fortitude to put themselves out there in this environment and said, I want to help this community. She did it.
And we don't discard that, and if you ask Mary, she will tell you that. I've said that to her face.
So then what's the issue?
That I admire that, but it does not, that in itself does not make a person qualified or more qualified than other people to serve on the board. And what we need to look at, Bob, here is we need to look at the qualifications of what this person can bring and do for the board and for this district.
I agree.
You have a person in Amy Campbell who understands the importance of hiring people who know how to make a difference across the board with our students. She understands that already. She knows what to look for. She can be a great advisory person in that regard. I have experienced the benefits of having someone highly qualified to address kids who need to have inclusion or special accommodations made. And if you don't have that in your classrooms, it is a huge detriment. She understands those things already. That is a great asset. Just so you know, I have said to Mary, I appreciate the fact that she tried this. But you know what? So did Trent. So did, Bob Persky when he was one of the 19 too. He not only ran, he won, and he served on this board. If that's a criterion, which you said back at that point, he should have just come and sat in this chair then. See, that to me does not make sense. That would be your biggest criterion for placing someone on the school board.
It is. I'm telling you, you were looking for a point system. I didn't do a point system. I was looking for values that matter and that I believe are needed on this board. That is my selection criteria. And, I'm sorry if you can't accept that, but as an individual board member, I have the right to come to that criteria. and that decision.
Okay, all I did was ask, and you answered, there you go.
So, as I
It
mentioned,
is,
oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna say, if we're stuck, then I'm gonna say, call the question. And we need a formal vote. We did not do a formal, we did a straw vote. I would like a formal vote on the candidates, the top candidates we have selected.
And I was just going
So,
there.
is there any other discussion? I mean, before we go?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
I do want to say one thing. So, I actually, as a board member, I know that we have some attitudes where we believe that we are the bosses, but I don't think we are the bosses. I think that we are servants. I think that we have a servant's heart. This is why we got elected, because I'm not in charge. They are in charge, all right? And so I agree with Jason on the fact that they already voted, but I also, with my own desire to have very, very open and honest discussions, have spoken with every single person. I didn't wait for them to come to me. I went to them. I had never once talked to Amy Campbell. I had never once talked to Kate Oster. I had never had coffee with Mary. I had all of that. I've had conversations with Jackie. I've had conversations with Beth and Jeff. Now, some of those are easier because Beth's in my Bible study, and Jackie I knew from the election and all of those other things. But the thing is that to say that that's the only person that came to you, I was interested in finding out more about every single person. I didn't have my mind made up because I didn't know these people. Because the truth is, when I did that first 19, I too had a very individual vote, which I'm not sure happened across the board. And when I did it, I went with what you had asked us to do. If someone ran for a position, give them some extra points. And I did that. And your candidate got into this top 6. So one of the things I want you to think is that you are saying that you have certain rules for the people that you want in, but you will not honor that for the other people that you don't want in. And when you say top of the class, when you say things like she's the top of the class, and I look at Amy Campbell, who has 30 years of interest in education, 17 as a professor. She has her PhD. She is amazing. She's done all kinds of publications, and she's done all kinds of discussions, and she's worked with across the aisle with 2 different, very differing political parties. That to me is the top of the class. This is some high quality person. I'm not saying Mary's not. I'm saying Mary is young. I'm saying that Amy has had a lot of experience. She can come onto this board and know Robert's Rules of Order. She just said that. She can come onto this board and she can know multi-tiered systems of support. She can come on here and she can say, oh, look, I can understand that some of the problems that we have in the district are that we have so many needs, and she is addressing them. I am asking that you look at the person who is literally the most qualified to be on this board, not because she got harassed, because we have had people harassed. Trent was harassed, Cam was harassed, Sally was harassed, Jason was harassed. That's not a reason to put someone on a board. I am super sorry that happened to her, and we talked about it. I said that should not happen, especially in your neighborhood. I 100% agree with that. But what I am seeing is some kind of very subjective, not objective, look at what our talents are and what we can accomplish just in this last year and 10 months of this service. So my opinion is going to stay with Amy. Yours is probably going to stay with Mary's. But the thing is that I want you to be honest about why you're making those decisions, because you're not applying the same level of reasoning across the board. You're not.
Let me help justify there's a semi-accusation in there, so let me explain it to you. Sitting there and putting an application in is the safe zone. It is. It is typically the safe zone. Running a campaign is not. And I'm looking at the top 6 candidates, and it is a significant factor. The other thing is the skill set she brings to sit in the 7th chair that I believe she has. Do not, you're going to take this in the wrong way, and I don't want you to. We have some great educators in this district that are in leadership roles. Why do we keep adding, why not go into the market instead of finding another educator to sit on this board and find someone out in the market that can help guide this board with the things that are going on? Is it construction? Is it marketing? Is it technology? Mary has many of those things.
Would you like my answer to that?
I don't need your answer to it.
I know, you
it's
do not
rhetorical.
want my
Because you
opinions.
didn't,
I understand
you're judging me for my response. At least I'm honest. If you have ever known me, I'm honest. The smirking is okay. It never hurts my feelings.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Call the roll.
Okay, so we have 2 candidates with the identical amount. So to determine who goes first, we're going to do a simple flip of a coin.
Sure.
Fine.
Okay, and we'll identify whose heads and whose tails, and they fall, so shall they make. I don't have a coin, so I used up my allowance for the week, so does anybody have a coin?
Grandma probably does here, hang on. Here you go.
Okay.
He's got a challenge.
Bad,
Sorry.
bad throw, sorry.
And
No, looks like we got it.
So explain, so what's happening here, Roger? I
sure,
mean,
so obviously we have a heads and a tails, and that Heather flip it. If it lands on heads, then we do a roll call for Mary first. If it lands
I
on
see.
tails, then we do a roll call for Amy first.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Okay.
Tails.
It is tails, so we'll do a roll call for Amy first. Whose quarter was this? I'm sorry.
Me.
I don't want to steal your quarter. So,
That's the
okay.
Aldi quarter.
So we have a motion here.
So it is recommended that the Grandville Board of Education fill the vacancy left by Barb Palmer's resignation by appointing, who was first?
Amy Campbell.
Amy Campbell to the position until the election of a candidate for the position in the fall of 2026. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Got that down?
And support was who?
Brett.
Brett? Okay.
So this
Just
is a
wanna make
vote for Amy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so, ready?
Yep.
Okay. Dehaan,
No.
Van Eck,
yes.
Wondergem,
No.
Gardine,
Yes.
Steffes,
No.
Hybor.
Yes.
Okay, 3-3, so that motion fails.
It is recommended that the the Grandville Board of Education fill the vacancy left by Barb Palmer's resignation by appointing Mary Gunther to the position until the election of a candidate for the position in the fall of 2026. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, so moved by Steffes, supported by Wondergem. Okay. Roll call vote, here we go. Dehaan,
Yes.
Van Eck,
No.
Wondergem,
Yes.
Gardine,
No.
Steffes,
Yes.
Hybor.
No.
Okay, didn't get 4, so that motion fails. So, looking at options, I would say we look at the rest of the candidates. Is there anybody on here that somebody wants to bring up as somebody that they think this board as a whole could get behind?
Personally, I think when you look at the qualifications again, I think Kate Oster is someone that could certainly do the job as well. I think, again, she's someone that can step in pretty quickly, and we have a much quicker ramp up to the position. So I would suggest Kate Oster. I don't know how the rest of the board has discussion or feelings about that.
Thoughts?
I think her qualifications are extremely high. She has a ton of experience dealing with the various, very down and dirty challenges that we face in a district in terms of dealing with our subgroups. And I think that she would also be an asset.
I agree. I think that she's had a lot of very great honors. Teacher of the Year, Special Education Awards. I do like that she has done stuff outside with LaGrave through the CRC. That's a great nonprofit that talks a lot about our different, maybe even some of our own students. Intervention, working all the way throughout Ottawa County in schools. Publications, yeah, I like that she went to Hope. I like Hope.
Anyone else? I would recommend you.
Yeah, it is recommended that the Grandville Board of Education fill the vacancy left by Barb Palmer's resignation by appointing Kate Oster to the position until the election of a candidate for the position in the fall of 2026. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Gerdine, supported by Van Eck. Okay, roll call vote. DeHaan.
No.
Van Eck.
Yes.
Wondergen.
No.
Gardine.
Yes.
Steffes.
No.
Hybor.
Yes.
Okay, 3 votes. Motion fails.
All right.
Anyone else on your list of 6?
Can I ask, I don't know if this is even an appropriate question to ask, but is there anyone left that any of you 3 are going to vote yes for?
No.
Or is this an obstructionist kind of no?
It's
only a-
obstructionist, but no.
All right.
You know what? Because what did I say before that you kind of snickered at? I'm very honest with what I say.
Okay.
So, we're at a stalemate.
Okay.
You didn't agree to a tiebreaker, so we obviously won't do that. You have until Wednesday of next week to fill this position, and if we don't fill it by the end of the day on Wednesday, then I will contact the ISD and let them know where we're at.
Okay.
And it'll be in their hands.
Sorry, Roger.
And we don't know how they will,
No
whatever
idea.
method they decide to, it's completely out of our hands.
My hunch is I don't know, I know other places around the state have had it. I don't know if our ISD has. But if they haven't, I guess they'll figure it out. So if that should be the thing that happens, so.
All right. So now we'll go into public comment.
One more thing.
Yeah, please.
One more thing, please. It's interesting that you're asking us for more candidates and wanting to reconsider, yet you won't even consider a tiebreaker. So I'd like you to reflect on that. This should have been a real simple push. But you didn't want to go there. Reflect on that, please.
Don't point at me, please.
All right. Public comment. We have one person signed up, and that is Lynn Jansen.
I guess I just want to say that I'm really disappointed with this process tonight. I believe that there are 3 board members, maybe we would say that they are on the right, that did the right thing at that last board meeting when we had an opportunity to push through with Mrs. Gardine's absence. I don't think the same courtesy would have been showed to us, but several members of this board have said that it's time for the divisiveness to be over with, but what you showed the community tonight is that you enjoy the divisiveness. So thank you.
All right. That brings the board meeting to an end. The next board meeting of the Grandville Board of Education will be Monday, March 3rd, 2025 at 7 p.m. at the Grandville Administration Building. We are adjourned.